Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet.
Gunsmoke. The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Straight ahead, 3 hours of crime. Just crime. Nothing but crime. Well, no, basically crime. Edward Pawley in Big Town, Jack Webb in Dragnet, dealing with strippers. It's not what you think. John Stanley, Alfred, Shirley in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, Orson Welles in The Lives of Harry Lime, David Bryan as Mr. District Attorney, and The Adventures of Jungle Jim. That's all straight ahead on this Sure Happy It's Thursday. It's a brand new month, the first day of February, 32nd day of the year, 334 days remaining until we get to 2025. In New York City on this date in 1790, the Supreme Court of the U.S. convened for the first time. 1856, Auburn University chartered as the East Alabama Male College. 1861, Texas ceded from the U.S. in the Civil War. 1862, Julia Ward Howe's Battle Hymn of the Republic, published for the first time in the Atlantic Monthly. In 1893, Thomas Alva Edison finished construction of the first motion picture studio, the Black Maria, in West Orange, New Jersey. In 1913, New York City's Grand Central Terminal opened as the world's largest train station. And yes, it's Grand Central Terminal. And the reason that the radio show was Grand Central Station, well, it's because they didn't want to have the name Grand Central Terminal thrown about. That's why. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police began operations in 1920. 1939, shooting began on a very famous motion picture.
Where you go? Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
And that was a shocking statement in the motion pictures back in the very late 30s, early 40s. Gone with the Wind began shooting on this date in 1939. 4 black students staged a sit-in at a lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina in 1960. Segregation still in force, even that 64 years ago. The Doobie Brothers released their album What Were Once Vices Are Now Habits in 1974, featuring their signature and hit song, Black Water. And that was 7, 8, 9, 10, 50 years ago? Yeah, that's coming up here. Director Roman Polanski skipped bail on this date in 1978, fled to France after pleading guilty to charges of engaging in sex with a 13-year-old girl. In 1979, convicted bank robber Patty Hearst released from prison after President Carter commuted her prison sentence.
I think mostly that. I've learned a lot about people. I've been around a lot of different kinds of people, had to handle lots of unusual situations, and for someone my age, I've been through an awful lot.
Patty Hearst released from prison on this date in 1979. 1982, David Letterman began his 11-year run as host of Late Night with David Letterman on NBC. 1992, the Chief Judicial Magistrate of Bhopal, India Court declared Warren Anderson, former CEO of Union Carbide, a fugitive under Indian law for failing to appear in the Bhopal disaster case. In Portland, Oregon, on this date in 1994, Tonya Harding's ex-husband, Jeff Gillooly, pled guilty for his role in attacking figure skater Nancy Kerrigan. 1996, the Communications Decency Act passed by Congress. In 2003, Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrated during re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, killing 7 astronauts.
It's here this morning with the families of the astronauts and their friends. It started out as a pretty happy morning, awaiting the landing of STS-107. And we had highly anticipated their return because we couldn't wait to congratulate them for their extraordinary performance and their excellent efforts on the science mission on this very important flight. They dedicated their lives to pushing the scientific challenges for all of us here on Earth. And they dedicated themselves to that objective and did it with a happy heart willingly and with great enthusiasm. The loss of this valiant crew is something we will never be able to get over, and certainly the families of all of them, we have assured we will do everything we can possibly do to guarantee that they work their way through this horrific tragedy.
NASA Administrator Sean O'Keefe, Michael P. Anderson, David Brown, Kalpana Chawla, Lauren Clark, Rick D. Husband, Willie McCool, and Ilan Ramon, the crew of the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster, the second space shuttle to end a mission to end in disaster after the loss of the Challenger and the crew in 1986. In 2004, Janet Jackson exposed her breast on American television during the halftime show of the Super Bowl, prompting the Nipplegate controversy.
I just want to say one thing about the halftime entertainment, which we found offensive, embarrassing to us and our fans, and inappropriate.
NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, interestingly enough, while Janet Jackson became the center of the whole thing was initiated by Justin Timberlake, and we really don't know the whole deal. It cost CBS $500,000 for the incident. The fine ultimately voided by the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. A case to reinstate the fine was refused. And it's ridiculous. The whole situation was very, very ridiculous. Okay, let's roll on here, because passing away on this date in history, in addition to the crew of Space Shuttle Columbia, people of note include author Mary Shelley, gossip columnist Hedda Hopper, actor Buster Keaton, the percussionist bandleader Mongo Santa Maria, Don Cornelius, the Soul Train, former mayor of New York City, Ed Koch, the 105th mayor of the city, and Screech from Saved by the Bell, Dustin Diamond, all passing away on this date in history. Among those who have gone on before us include Lisa Marie Presley. Her 2003 single, Lights Out, Lisa Marie Presley, who passed away last year at the age of 54. Also born on this date, but she was born on this date in 1968. Victor Herbert, also born on this date. Director-producer John Ford. Automaker Enzo Ferrari. Actor Clark Gable. Frankly, my dear. Hildegard, the delightful actress-singer, first president of the Russian Federation, Boris Yeltsin, the Everly Brothers, Don Everly, born on this date, as was the last living member of the Kingston Trio, Bob Shane. Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show's Ray Sawyer, born on this date, from Amen, and from the Jeffersons, Sherman Hemsley, born on Hemsley, yes, that's what it says, Hemsley, born on this date. Journalist Jessica Savage, born on this date. Actor Brandon Lee, and I'm Rick James.
1981. hit the street. Oh, girl. She likes the boys in the band. She says that I'm her all-time favorite. When I make my move to her room, it's the right time. She's never hard to please. Oh, no. That girl is pretty wild now. The girl's a super freak. The kind of girl you read about in magazines. That girl is pretty kinky. The girl's a super freak. I really love to taste her. Every time we meet, she's alright. She's alright. That girl's alright with me. Yeah. Hey, 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 hey. She's a super freak. Super freak. She's super freaking out. Everybody sing. Super freak. Super freak. She's a very special girl. From her head down to her toenails. Yeah, she'll wait for me in backstage with her girlfriends in a limousine. Three's not a crowd to her, she says.
A lot of samples of that song in modern music today. It was a big hit back in the day, and he left us in 2004. Rick James, born on this date back in 1948.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
And one guy who is still working and doing a lot today, Garrett Morris. Remember him from Saturday Night Live, and he's done so many other shows. 87 years old today. You remember him from the original Lost in Space. Did you know that he was a part of the group Barnes and Barnes that did the song Fish Heads, Roly-Poly Fish Heads? None other than Bill Mumy. Billy Mumy is 70 years old today. From Twin Peaks, Audrey from Twin Peaks, Sherilyn Fenn is 59. Comedian Pauly Shore is 56. From Charmed, Brian Krause is 55. He was Dexter in the TV show Dexter. Michael C. Hall, 53. Heather Morris from Glee. She was Brittany in Glee, 37. MMA fighter Ronda Rousey, living her best life not only as a mom, but not tethered to WWE anymore. She's done a lot of independent wrestling work. Apart from her MMA career, she's done a lot of independent wrestling, even wrestled and caused a real fuss when she worked with some of her friends in Ring of Honor just because she was having a fun time. The talk was she was going to go to All Elite Wrestling, and she didn't. Ronda Rousey, though, living her best life at 37, and One Direction's Harry Styles is 30, and turning 49 years ago today, turning 49 years old today from Outkast, Big Boy.
1, 2, 3, my baby don't mess around because she loves me so, and this I know for sure. But does she really wanna, but can't stand to see me walk out the door? Don't try to fight the feeling, 'cause the thought alone is killing me right now. Thank God for Mom and Dad for sticking together, 'cause we don't know how.
A very cute music video, an even cuter video using this song, was with the Peanuts gang dancing to Hey Ya. 2003 song, and it was a delight. It's when you can have fun songs like that. Shake it like a Polaroid picture, which you're not supposed to do. Anyway, Big Boy from Outkast is 49 years old today. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the first day of February as their birthday. And if this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say...
Happy birthday to you.
Now let us get to today's criminal activity on this Thursday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And we'll start off in Big Town. That'll be coming up next year from 75 years ago. Murder in the Snow. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox right here.
Are you saving old newspapers, magazines, paper bags, and boxes? Paper is a vital war material, and there's a serious shortage. Sell your waste paper or give it to a local charity. And now we move out of the theater and into the street.
Paper recycling has been one of the things that has actually, of all the recycling, aluminum and paper have been the most successful recycling. Plastic has been abysmal. And don't get me started on that. I will get into that badly. But let us actually get into some bad stuff going on in Big Town. This episode, starring Edward Pawley, was originally broadcast 75 years ago, February 1st, 1949. When you heard the original Big Town shows hosted by Edward G. Robinson, you would think, well, my gosh, who can follow Edward G. Robinson? Edward Pawley did a real good job of it, as we hear in this episode entitled Murder in the Snow.
Lever Brothers Company, makers of Lifebuoy Health Soap, present Big Town.
Extra, extra! Here, Big Town racket expose. Press agent convicted. Screen star killed. Extra, extra!
Yes, Lever Brothers Company, makers of Lifebuoy Health Soap, are proud to present Big Town. The story of fighting editor Steve Wilson of the Illustrated Press, whose newspaper creed stands for freedom and justice against the forces of intolerance and evil.
The power and the freedom of the press is a flaming sword, that it may be a faithful servant of all the people. Use it justly, hold it high, guard it well.
Now, Big Town and Steve Wilson's story, headlined Murder in the Snow. When the blizzard fury of nature clashes with the murderous violence of men, deadly complications can ensue. And such is the case as a movie star and her press agent engage in a bitter quarrel aboard a streamliner approaching Big Town.
Get out of my compartment, Russ. Go nursemaid that so-called husband of mine.
Never mind, Vic Vance. That lush needs a keeper, not a nurse. It's you I'm worried about.
You never worry about anything but yourself, Russ Cooper. You and your press agent, 20%.
Well, I'm trying to earn it. Keeping you out of a messy scandal that'll ruin your picture career.
I know what I'm doing. I'm going before that federal grand jury, and I'm going to testify.
You're crazy, Linda. It'll ruin you.
Narcotics ruined several of my friends, and I've a notion they wrecked Vic's chances in pictures.
Oh, Vic's just a bottle baby you married to reform. You've got a Carrie Nation complex.
I've another notion you've got your finger in this, Russ. Get out of here. Mind your job, or you're fired.
Fire me? Why, no one else would handle you. And you're going to need a press agent, but good if you stick your nose in this narcotic mess.
I need your kind of press agent like a hole in the head.
Maybe you'll get that if you don't lay off.
Don't you threaten me, you slimy ex-newspaper slug.
Listen, I know enough about your past to ruin you, baby.
And I know enough about your present to send you to jail. Now get out of here. We're due in Big Town in a couple of hours, and I've got a pack. Get out.
So you won't listen?
No.
You're going to shoot off your mouth?
Yes, and you better wire some of your old pals to scram. Close the door.
Okay, Linda. So long. You stupid dame.
Russ, what'd you say? What'd you say?
Come away from Linda's compartment door. What's the idea of hanging around out here in the corridor? I told you to stay in the lounge bar.
I had to know. I got to know. You know what this means for me if she squawks?
Yeah, I know, and it's a good thing you know what it means if she does.
Did you talk her out of testifying?
If you've been listening, you know I didn't. She threw me out.
What are we going to do?
You know what the boys told you before we got on the train.
I can't do it, Vic. I haven't got the nerve.
Work up the nerve. You've got what it takes in your suitcase?
No. Even then, I couldn't.
Listen, if Linda steps off this train in Big Town, you won't last. Think it over.
But how? In this compartment aboard this train?
You've been told. Frame a stick-up. Get rid of her jewels. Cut yourself up before you let her have it. There's a whole trainload of suspects.
The police will suspect me, hold me, question me. I couldn't stand it, Russ. I couldn't.
Cut it out. Get hold of yourself, Vic. It's the cops or the snow boys. Now get in there with Linda and make up your mind.
Say, boss, Miss Kilburn.
Say it, Harry.
How come we are hightailing it to the big town pirate cage so early in the evening? Is it not too soon for the night owls to be hooting it up?
Yes, Harry. But we just had a phone tip from our doorman pal, Boris Goodenough from Nijinsky Pavlovich.
What's Boris got a tip on this time?
It seems some snowbirds have been warbling about a proposed murder and forgot all doormen have very sharp ears, Harry.
Yeah. Is it not amazing that people who should know different think that doormen, cab drivers, and such like are just part of the general landscape?
Fortunately for someone, in this case, we hope.
Pirate cage coming up. Do I hack you right to the entrance like you were suckers? I mean customers?
Yes, Harry, but wait. We're not getting out of the cab. And don't mind the double talk, Harry. I don't want Boris spotted as one of our tipsters.
Jack, boss. Oh, there he is, coming to open the door.
Good evenings. Welcome to the Pirates' Cages.
Good evening, Doorman. What kind of entertainment is your establishment providing this evening?
Entertainment's just what you like. Dinings, dancing, and later funny fellers make with acts and pretty girls making with feathers like molting parrots.
Sounds dull.
What happens before the floor show Doorman? Any interesting personalities?
Interesting personalities we got plenty of. Waiting inside.
What are they waiting for, Boris?
A train called the Sunlight Limited to arrive at midnight with a lady on board who had better be dead.
Oh, Steve, the Sunlight Limited from the west.
Who is the lady who should be dead, Boris?
Some movie lady who's coming to big towns to talk to some grand juries about snow. Only not like the kind that looks like we're gonna get tonight.
Narcotics. That could be Linda Lane, the screen star. She's scheduled to appear before the grand jury tomorrow.
But two fellers I hear saying she won't go no place.
Did you get the setup, Boris? Are they set to get her on the train or here in Big Town?
On the train as it comes to Big Town. It is to happen, I think.
Steve, it's 10 o'clock. The Limited has left New City. There's no way of getting in touch with Linda Lane to warn her.
Yes, there is, Lorelei. The Limited stops at North Junction to change to an electric engine a little after 11 o'clock.
Oh, golly, yes.
Could you make it to the junction in an hour, Harry?
If the snow don't get much worse, boss.
We'll try it. Anything else, Boris?
Nothing else, Mr. Wilson. Only them fellers are still inside the parrots' cages, waiting for this something to happen.
Good. Phone Inspector Callahan of Homicide, Boris. Tell him exactly what you've told me, and he'll put a tail on them.
Good. Anything else, Mr. Wilson?
Yes. Ask him to meet us at Central Depot when the Limited pulls in at midnight tonight. Thus, acting on a tip from the ugly echo chambers of the underworld, Steve and Lorelei race out of Big Town in an attempt to prevent a murder. And for the exciting developments, we'll return in just a moment. Lifebuoy gets skin cleaner.
Lifebuoy gets skin cleaner.
And the cleaner you get your skin, the surer you are of being fresh and attractive. So remember, Lifebuoy, with its purifying ingredient, gets skin cleaner. Stops BO as no other leading soap can. Here's what the doctors proved in 820 scientific tests.
People took daily baths with different soaps. Doctors found that Lifebuoy does more than just remove the grime and perspiration you can see. Because of its purifying ingredient, Lifebuoy is more effective than any other leading soap against the invisible dirt that brings on BO.
Yes, and it's mild, safe even for baby's tender skin.
No wonder Lifebuoy Health Soap is used in the homes of 40 million Americans.
Lifebuoy gets skin cleaner.
Lifebuoy gets skin cleaner. Stops BO as no other leading soap can. So bathe with Lifebuoy every day. Buy Lifebuoy right away. Now back to Big Town and to Steve Wilson, Lorelei, and Harry the Hack as they drive out of Big Town in a blinding snowstorm to meet a streamliner carrying a woman passenger marked for death.
Say, Hey, boss, it's still 10 miles to North Junction, and this snow is getting thicker than feathers in a kid's pillow fight.
Well, take it easy, Harry. We have 20 minutes left to catch the Limited at the junction and ride it into Big Town.
And the train may be late. This looks like a real blizzard, and the wind is drifting the snow.
Yeah, I may have to stop and put on chains, and that'll take a couple minutes. We ain't got to spare.
Well, do your best, Harry. That girl on the Limited may not realize she's marked for death, and there's no way of warning her unless Callahan is able to contact the train through the railroad.
Steve, the killer must be on the train.
Yes. Or we'll board the Limited at North Junction and try to shut her up before we pull into Big Town.
If we make it.
Yikes! Snowdrift, we're stuck.
Quick, Harry. Come on, let's get out and put on your chains.
Vic, for heaven's sake, stop pacing up and down the compartment like a cat on a hot stove.
Linda, why won't you listen to me? Why must you go through with this? Why do you have to testify before that grand jury?
Because the rats selling narcotics have been responsible for the death of 2 of my friends.
Oh, so what?
And I've a notion they've wrecked our marriage.
Oh, you're crazy, Linda. It hasn't.
You're a jittering idiot half the time. What's the matter with you if you're not a snowbird?
Linda, I'm not, I swear.
Then what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you now? You're not drunk.
I wish I was. I wish it would help.
Help you do what? What's on your mind?
Linda, please, listen. Listen to me. We're coming to North Junction in a few minutes. The last stop before Big Town. Now, let's get off and take the next train back. It's the last chance.
Last chance for what?
To save your life. Maybe mine.
Rubbish. You've been listening to Russ, that slimy press agent.
He's right, Linda. They'll never let you get to Big Town to testify.
How do you know?
Because we've been warned.
They're bluffing.
They're not.
Besides, they can't get away with it.
They will.
The door to this compartment's going to stay locked until we get into Big Town Central Depot. And I'm being met by detectives from the prosecutor's office.
That won't save you. They'll get to you anyway.
Let them try. I've a gun. I've a permit for it, and I know how to use it. I didn't start pictures as Queen of the Westerns for nothing.
Linda, put that gun back in your jewel case.
Sure. But I'll have it ready for anyone that tries to open that door. Now, please get out of here, Vic. Go back to your own compartment and pack.
All right. All right, Linda, but let's have one drink together before I go.
I don't need a drink.
Well, I do. Please, Linda. For old time's sake.
Oh, all right, Vic. You sure need something. Mix us a couple, but hurry it up.
Okay. Okay, Linda. For old time's sake.
Oh, for heaven's sake, your hand's shaking like a leaf. Here, let me pour.
No, Linda.
Why not?
This is something I have to do myself.
We made it, boss.
That's nice driving, Harry.
Oh, with a couple of minutes to spare. Oh, Steve, look. There's another car here waiting for the Limited.
Maybe some local job.
No. Wait a minute. It's carrying Big Town serial numbers on the license plates.
Can you see who's in the car, Steve?
No, the snow's too heavy, but the exhaust shows the motor's running.
Maybe to keep the heater going like I'm doing. Must be down to 0 outside.
Yes. And I think there are 2 men in the front seat.
Better be careful, Steve. If they're big town mobsters sent out here to board the train and silence Linda Lane, they may recognize you.
That can't be helped, Lorelei.
Train coming, boss. I just heard a whistle. What do I do?
Well, you've done your part, Harry. Just watch that car until the Limited pulls out. Get the license number and phone Callahan of Homicide if any suspicious-looking characters get aboard that train.
Check, boss. You and Miss Kilpine better get up on the platform.
Well, you better hold up in a hotel till this blizzard blows out and the roads are cleared, Harry.
Yes, don't risk getting frozen to death in a drift, Harry.
Okay, Miss Kilpine, I would, the way it's piling up.
All right, Lorelei. Let's go.
Linda Lane
Lane's compartment is in this last car, Mr. Wilson.
Thanks, Brakeman. Will you keep an eye on that other passenger who got aboard at the junction?
Sure thing. I hope there won't be any trouble. We may have trouble enough getting into Big Town through this snow.
But surely they'll keep the main line clear, won't they?
Well, they'll try, but there's a couple of deep cuts that drift up bad. Well, I'll go up ahead and watch the guy that got on with you, Mr. Wilson.
What's Miss Lane's compartment number?
Room 6, next to the lounge.
Oh, thanks, Brakeman. Come on, Lorelei.
Steve, look who's coming along the corridor.
Russ Cooper.
Linda Lane's so-called press agent.
Ex-promoter of blackmail columns. Hello, Cooper.
Huh? Steve Wilson. Well, what are you doing on the limited?
We thought we'd drive out and interview your client on the way into Big Town.
Yes, Russ. Give her a good press and some well-deserved publicity for daring to name names in that narcotic investigation tomorrow.
Linda ain't talking to the newspapers.
I think she'll talk to us, Cooper.
What about? She hasn't got anything to say because she isn't going to testify before that grand jury.
Then why'd she come to Big Town?
Well, if you must know, it was my idea.
Oh, your idea?
Yeah, a publicity stunt to get her name in the paper. And your illustrated press fell for it like a ton of bricks.
Well, coming from you, Cooper, that has all the earmarks of a super colossal lie.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Your type of press agent wouldn't make an admission like that until you were over a barrel or had milked the situation of every line of publicity.
Well, it's the truth this time.
Oh, the truth has never been in you, Russ. You wouldn't have been kicked off the staff of every respectable newspaper that hired you.
I could sue you for that crack, Kilburn.
Oh, it'd be a pleasure. I'd love to get you on a witness stand under oath.
We'll try it sometime, but right now, beat it. Lay off Linda. She's sick. She's gone to bed and sleeping.
Sleeping less than an hour before we pull into Big Town?
I said she's sick, sleeping. Now get out of here and leave her alone.
Well, she's liable to be a lot sicker if we do leave her alone. Now get out of the way, Cooper.
What are you talking about, Wilson?
I'm talking about nothing to you. Now get out of the way. Stop blocking the corridor.
Now, wait a minute, Wilson. Linda has a right to some privacy. I'm paid to speak for her.
Cooper, listen to me. This limited is a public conveyance. This corridor leads to a public lounge at the end of this car, and if you don't step aside...
Lay off, Wilson. You ain't talking to Linda Lane.
Let's leave that to Linda Lane. I'll get out of the way.
Like the devil I will.
Look out, Steve.
Don't telegraph your punches. Come. Now stop talking. Let go. This isn't going to be settled with fists. What's the matter with you?
Let go my arm, Wilson. I'll sue you for assault.
I'll risk it to find out why you're trying to keep me from seeing Miss Lane. Now, what's happened?
Nothing. Lay off. She's upset. She had a fight with her husband.
Hold him, Steve. I'll go down to her compartment and see.
Keep out of this, Kilburn.
Go on, Lorelei. I'll hold him. Get past us. Something has happened or is going to happen.
Just hold him, Steve. I'll see.
Lay off. Keep out of this.
Now, hold still, Cooper. Keep out of what? How much do you know about the...
I warned her.
Then you know about the plan to kill her.
No, I just heard rumors, but they're bluffing. Now let go.
You're not acting as if you think this is a bluff. Now hold still.
Lay off or you'll get her
She's already
killed.
marked for murder.
How'd you find out?
Never mind. I heard, and now I'm convinced.
Steve.
Yes, what is it, Lorelei?
We may be too late. Linda Lane's compartment is locked on the inside. I pounded and called, but there's no answer, not a sound.
All right, Cooper. What's happened to Linda Lane? Where is she?
I don't know, I swear.
Steve, train. Something's happened.
The train doesn't matter, Lorelei, now. Talk, Cooper. Is Linda Lane in that compartment?
Is she alone?
I don't know.
Out of the way, please. Let me through.
What's wrong, Brakeman?
We must be stalled in a drift in Long Cut. Let me through. I've got to set out warning flares to flag the second section. What's the matter here, Mr. Wilson?
Never mind, Brakeman. I'll handle this. Go set your flares.
Okay, but you better watch out. The guy that got on at the junction is coming back this way.
Coming this way? Oh, Steve, he may be a trigger man. What'll we do?
Get back to the lounge, Lorelei. Come on, Cooper. If this is the gang payoff, you're going to be in the middle of it. Let's go. Lorelei.
No.
There is someone in this compartment. Moving around. I heard them. Now watch the corridor for that other junction passenger.
Yes, I'm watching it, Steve, but please be careful.
Get back. I'm going to try and force this door.
Stop it, Wilson. Stop it, you fool. Vic Vance is in there with Linda.
Linda's husband?
Why didn't you say so in the first place?
He's drunk. They've been having a fight. I didn't want it in the papers. Now leave them alone.
This is not the time to worry about your client's domestic relations. This is a matter of her life. Miss Lane, open this door. Answer me if you can.
Cut it out, Wilson. Leave them alone.
Cooper, I warned you. I'm sure you're trying to cover something. Now get away from that door. Stop interfering.
I won't. I'm trying to help you.
Yes,
to keep
trying to keep me from getting in there. Now keep away from this door.
Steve, the door. It's open.
Yes, now get back in the lounge, Lorelei.
It's Vic. He's got Linda's gun.
I warned you, Wilson. Shut up, Cooper.
Yeah. Shut up. All of you. Yes. Vic Vance. Mr. Linda Lane. The ex-Mr. Linda Lane. Ex. Because I killed her. Because they made me kill her. Frame me. Cross me up. Use me to kill her, then cross me up.
Who crossed you up, Vic? Who made you kill her?
That rat over there. That press agent Rat Cooper.
He's lying, Wilson.
Lying, am I? Doesn't matter now. They'll hang me. How many more times can they hang me for killing Cooper?
Wait a minute, Vance.
Get out of my way, you. Get out of the way or I'll shoot him right through you.
Don't move from in front of me, Steve. He's crazy. He will shoot. Yes, and if he's telling the truth, it's too bad. I can't let him do it.
Get out of the way, Wilson. Get out of the way. Let me finish this thing.
Thus, Steve is caught between a tragic and remorseful killer and his treacherous accomplice. And for the dramatic payoff, we'll return in just a moment. Lifebuoy gets skin cleaner.
Lifebuoy gets skin cleaner.
Yes, Lifebuoy, with its purifying ingredient, gets skin cleaner. Stops BO as no other leading soap can. Here's what the doctors say.
We had people take daily baths with leading soaps. Then we measured the cleanliness and protection each soap gave. We found that Lifebuoy protects best. It does more than just remove the grime and perspiration you can see. Better than any other leading soap, Lifebuoy removes the invisible dirt that brings on BO. The purifying ingredient does it. And it makes Lifebuoy milder, too.
So remember, Lifebuoy gets skin cleaner.
Lifebuoy gets skin cleaner.
Yes, Lifebuoy keeps you fresh and attractive as no other leading soap can. So bathe with Lifebuoy every day. Buy Lifebuoy right away. Now back to Steve Wilson aboard a stalled streamliner as he faces an hysterical killer in the deadly showdown of Murder in the Snow.
Get away from in front of that dirty press agent, Wilson. Get away, whoever you are.
Oh, wait a minute, Vance. Before you use that gun on Russ Cooper and the rest of us, are you sure you killed Linda Lane?
Yes. She's in the compartment, smothered with a blanket.
Why, Vic? Why did you kill your own wife?
She was going to talk to that grand jury. I had to stop her, or they were going to kill me.
Kill you? Who told you that, Vic?
Cooper. That rat behind you. Get out of the way.
No, Steve, don't. He'll shoot. Shut up, Cooper. Well, he will anyway, and the shots will go right through me into you.
Yes. Move, Wilson, or I will. Now.
No, wait, Vance. Just one more question. For the record.
Record? What record?
Why, the record of your trial, Vic.
Oh, there isn't going to be any trial. I'm getting away off this train. It stopped. It isn't moving.
Well, that's because of the blizzard, Vic. It's zero out there. You'll be lost in that blinding snow. You'll freeze to death in the drifts that have even stopped this train.
Well, what do I care about death? I'm a dead man now. If the blizzard doesn't get me, the police or the narcotic ring will. Snow. If one kind doesn't get me, the other will.
Well, perhaps not, Vic. You see, you're not yourself. Not completely responsible.
What's the difference?
That's the difference between imprisonment that may save you and death that is final and beyond recall. Now, give me that gun, Vic.
No. Don't you try to take it.
All right, all right. Will you at least let Miss Kilburn go in that compartment and make sure your wife is dead or alive?
She is dead. dead, I tell you. I tried to bring her back after I realized what I'd done to save my own rotten neck, but it was too late. She isn't breathing. She doesn't move. It's too late. She's dead.
Let me see. I've had nurse's aid training.
No, it's no use. I've only one thing left to do. Kill Russ Cooper for all this.
Steve, stop him. Stop him. Cooper, come back.
No. Let him go.
No.
Stop shooting, Vic. You've hit him. He's down. I'll leave him to the law.
Keep away from me, Wilson. I'm leaving. Don't move, any of you.
Don't leave the train, Vance. You'll be lost out there, freeze to death, die in the snow.
Good. That's where I belong. Dead in the snow. Dead in the snow.
Oh, Steve. He will die out there.
Well, maybe it's best. Quick, Lorelei, get in the compartment. See if there's anything that can be done for Linda Lane.
Well, what about that other passenger, Steve?
I haven't forgotten about him. Get in the compartment and lock the door.
Right, Steve.
Steve, help me. He hit me in the stomach.
Stop crawling, Cooper. Lie still. We'll get a doctor if there is one on the train.
Help me. Hide me. Vic's coming back.
The brakeman coming back.
Hey, Mr. Wilson, who just jumped out the emergency door?
Victor Vance,
Wait,
brakeman.
he had a gun, ran down the embankment, disappeared in the snow. Well, what happened here?
Vance shot Cooper and may have killed Linda Lane, his wife.
What about the other guy that got aboard at the junction?
I don't know. He hasn't shown up.
He acted kind of funny, and he was coming back through the train.
It's the mob. They've sent somebody to make sure. Don't let him get in this car. Stop him.
Now, lie still, Cooper. Lie still, or it won't take another shot to finish you.
Steve, Vance was wrong. Linda Lane isn't dead. She's hardly breathing, but she's alive.
Brakeman, run up to the train, find a doctor if you can.
Yes, sir.
Well, wait. Steve, look. Coming down the corridor.
The guy that got on at the junction with you folks.
Don't move. Let him come.
Track must be cleared. They're calling me in. We'll be starting in a minute.
Look, that's no help.
Hold it, Laura.
Hey. Hey, what are you folks doing? Playing games?
Yes. What do you want back here?
I want to know if there's any place a guy can get a sandwich and a cup of coffee on this doggone train.
Oh, no.
What's so funny, lady?
Sorry. We thought you might be here to kill someone. And if you'll wait a few minutes, I'm sure Miss Kilburn will make you a sandwich at the buffet bar.
Oh, yes, mister. With my own trembling little lily white hand.
So ended with the death of Victor Vance in the snow, the subsequent arrest and conviction of Russ Cooper and other members of the narcotic ring, and the complete recovery of Linda Lane, another exciting adventure in the newspaper career of Steve Wilson and Lorelei of the Big Town Illustrated Press. And now, before telling you about next week's Big Town story, here is Lorelei Kilburn.
Friends, you've heard tonight how Lifebuoy gets skin cleaner in your daily bath. Keeps you fresh and attractive 24 hours a day. Well, now, I'd like to suggest that you try Lifebuoy Health Soap in the big new bath size. Bath size Lifebuoy is generous and luxurious. And that lather, it's so mild and refreshing. I love it. And I know you'll love it, too. Just ask for the new bath size Lifebuoy. Thank you, and good night.
In this unstable world, America needs unity as never before. If divided at home, we appear weak abroad. So let's all work for a united America. Let's judge our neighbors as individuals, not on a basis of religion or origin. That's the way to a better America and a better world. Next week, the makers of Lifebuoy bring you a hard-hitting story of reckless driving, headlined Death at the Wheel. Another exciting assignment in the newspaper career of Fighting Steve Wilson of Big Town. Don't miss it. In tonight's dramatization, all names, times, and places are fictional. Big Town features Edward Pawley as Steve Wilson, Fran Collin as Lorelei Kilburn, and is written and produced by Jerry McGill. Next Tuesday night, same time, same station, you'll hear the newsboy calling...
Extra, extra hero about it. The story of Steve Wilson and death at the wheel, brought to you by Lifebuoy Health Soap. Extra, extra.
Lever Brothers Company have amazing news. New 1950 Rinso with Solium. Developed a year ahead of time, new 1950 Rinso has 3 times the whiter washing action of any other soap. The sensational new washing action of 1950 Rinso gets white clothes whiter than new, washable colors brighter than new, and keeps them whiter, brighter than any other soap. Rinso is so safe for clothes, so kind to hands. Get new 1950 Rinso at your dealers now. New 1950 Rinso has 3 times the whiter washing action of any other soap.
Be sure to be with us again next Tuesday at this same time when Lever Brothers Company will again present Big Town. This is your narrator, Dwight Waste, bidding you good night.
The show aired over 15 years of time. It originally started out with Edward G. Robinson in the role that you hear today, played by Edward Pawley. And it was a very strong show. During the period in which Pawley starred, it was number 1 among all the reporter-type drama series on radio, in the top 12 among all radio broadcasts, and had a listening audience rated between 10 and 20 million people. Even went into the comics for a period of time. Big Town, February 1st, 1949, 75 years ago, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Do you mind if I forward promo here a little bit and tell you what's coming up on Friday, because I think you will enjoy it. It's kind of a variety of shows, an oddball copy clatch with radio's outstanding theater of thrills suspense, an episode science fiction, Plan X, starring a fellow you might have heard of, Jack Benny. Rocky Fortune, starring Frank Sinatra from 1954. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, an episode from 1958, Bob Bailey starring in The Price of Fame matter. Oh, Willis Cooper's Quiet Please. A delightful show. A game show from 1958. Henry Morgan is the MC in Says Who, and we'll have an episode of Blum and Abner as they try to figure out how to do their income taxes. That's all coming up on Friday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We continue our 3 hours worth of crime with an episode of Dragnet starring Jack Webb. That'll be coming up in just a moment here on this Thursday edition of the Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox podcast.
You can have vegetables, lots of them, on your table next winter. You can have your own fresh vegetables on your table this summer if you have your own Victory Garden. Yes, there's no restriction on home canning and home processing of vegetables and garden fruits and berries. Plan your Victory Garden now. Get your garden plot lined up. Get the advice of a garden expert if you need it, and be prepared to grow your own for victory. Join a garden club or community garden movement, or share a garden with your neighbors. You can help win the battle of food production. You can help our fighting men get the food they need. You can help save the vital metals used in commercial canning if you grow your own Victory Garden in 1943. For further information, write to Victory Gardens, Washington, D.C. Victory Gardens, Washington, D.C.
People find it hard to believe today that a significant part of World War II was rationing of food and essential war supplies. America went all in on World War II, and that's why World War II went the way it did. Alrighty, let us go 71 years ago now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And by the way, you can support this show by going to our webpage, classicradio.stream. No, you don't have to buy me a coffee, but it would be greatly appreciated. You don't have to buy something there, but it'd be nice if you did. And you can also find out a number of information sources to build your own classic radio collection. You can also find our social media links on Facebook and Twitter, or X, whichever it is now. We're on the X machine, Classic Radio WC. But you can also find a lot of information about how to build your own collection there. That's at classicradio.stream. And if you can always stream our shows on demand. If you're somewhere and you don't have access to your stuff, all you got to do is pull up a web browser, type in classicradio.stream, and you can stream our shows right there. Now, Dragnet, created by Jack Webb and starring Jack Webb, from 71 years ago today, February 1st, 1953. It's not what you think it is. It is The Big Strip.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the first and only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to auto theft detail. A gang of car strippers has been operating in your city. From their M.O., you know they're professionals. They move fast. Your job? Get them. Friends, you'll remember some months ago we read you our first report, the 6 months report on the effects of smoking. Then more recently we read you the 8 months report. Now here is the latest one. The full 10 months report confirms again.
The group examined showed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields.
This from a medical specialist who is making regular bi-monthly examinations of a group of people from various walks of life. 45% of them have smoked Chesterfield for an average of over 10 years.
After 10 full months, the specialist reports he observed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report. Buy much milder Chesterfield, regular or king size. The cigarette that's best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 5th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of auto theft detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Nelson. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from the telephone booth, and it was 10:23 p.m. when I got to the parking lot. Our car.
You called in?
Yeah, they haven't hit tonight so far.
What's the time now?
A little after 10:30. Parking lot's about empty.
Yeah. The attendant left a few minutes ago.
Frank?
Yeah, I see him.
Over there going for that Cadillac.
Yeah. You got a good look at him?
No, it's too dark. He's forcing the door. Come on.
Right.
All right, hold it up there.
He's in the car, Joe.
All right, hold it up. He isn't going to stop. He's heading for that intersection. He'll never get through. Come on.
That looks pretty bad, Joe.
Yeah, he really cracked into that Dodge, didn't he? All right, let us through, please.
Come on, please let us through.
I'll check the Cadillac.
Right, I'll get the other car.
Okay.
The 3 people in that Dodge are lucky. Doesn't look too bad. I'll call the ambulance.
Yeah, we'll tell him to hurry. I don't think this one's going to wait. 10:46 p.m. The ambulance arrived, and after emergency treatment at the scene, the victims were removed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. A traffic car had been dispatched to investigate the accident. Upon arrival at the emergency hospital, we were informed that the suspect had died on the way. The dead body was identified by his personal effects as Charles Roxford, age 16. The Juvenile Bureau was contacted, and they requested that in the course of our investigation, we notify the boy's family. 11:27 p.m. Frank and I drove out to the address listed on the victim's identification. It was a house above the Sunset Strip. We rang the bell and waited.
I'll try it again.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming.
Yes?
Mrs. Roxford?
That's right. What is it?
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to talk to you.
Police? Well, come in. I don't know what you want with us, but come in.
Thank you.
Come into the living room.
Thank you very much.
Now, sit down. What is it?
There's been an accident, Mrs. Roxford.
An accident?
Yes, ma'am. Pretty bad one.
What's this got to do with me?
Well, you see, ma'am, your boy was... Joe?
Well, we're sorry to have to tell you this, ma'am, but your boy was in an accident tonight.
Charles?
Yes, ma'am.
You said it was a bad accident.
Yes, ma'am, we did.
How bad? How bad?
Your son's dead, ma'am.
Charles? Charles Roxford? Oh, you're sure you have the right house?
Yes, ma'am. We're sorry, Miss Roxford.
Oh, Charlie, he was only a baby. Just a baby. Oh, you're sure there's no mistake? You're sure?
Afraid not, ma'am.
How did it happen?
Well, it was an automobile accident, ma'am.
In an automobile?
Yes, ma'am. Your boy was driving the car.
Oh, but Charlie doesn't have a car. He doesn't drive.
Your boy was driving a stolen car, Mrs. Roxford.
What?
Your son had a stolen car, ma'am. He was trying to get away.
Well, that's not true.
Afraid it is, ma'am.
Why, no. You're lying to me. Charles wouldn't do a thing like that.
Afraid that's the way it is, ma'am.
Oh, that's terrible. I can't believe that Charlie'd do something like that. I thought I knew him. I didn't think he'd do anything like that. Well, did you see it? The accident. Were you there?
Yes, ma'am, we were.
How did it happen?
Well, he'd stolen the car, ma'am. He tried to escape. He ran the car out into a crowded street. One of the cars in the traffic didn't have time to stop. Your boy ran right into it.
Wasn't there something you could do to stop him?
Well, we tried, ma'am. We yelled at him. He almost ran us down.
You know where your boy was tonight, Mrs. Roxford?
No. No, he had dinner and then said he was going out. I thought he was going to a show or something.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't know where he was going.
Did he leave the house alone?
Yes. Left right after dinner, about 8. Said he'd be back later. Said he'd see me later. Then he left.
Is there anything we can get for you, Mrs. Roxford?
No, nothing.
Where's your husband, ma'am?
I guess he's at his office. He sells insurance. Said he had to meet a client tonight. I don't know what he's going to do when he hears about this. Going to hit him awfully hard. Awfully hard.
Yes, ma'am.
He and the boy were very close. I don't know what he's going to do when he hears about it.
Did the boy give you any idea during dinner as to what he was going to do after he left?
No, he didn't. I didn't talk much to him.
Ma'am?
You see, I wasn't here. I was out most of the afternoon. I didn't get home until just before he left. He just finished dinner and then he left.
I see, ma'am.
I was at the bridge club. I always go on Tuesdays. Oh, if I'd only known what was going to happen. Am I going to see him?
Well, we want either you or your husband to identify him, ma'am.
Charlie, he's dead. Just a baby, just a little boy. You were there. You could have done something. You're police officers. Isn't that your job?
Beg your pardon?
Well, isn't it your job to help people, to do something when they're in trouble?
Well, yes, ma'am, I suppose it is, but it was a little late for that, wasn't it?
What does that mean?
Well, he was 16 when we met him, Miss Roxford.
What's that got to do with it?
Somebody should have tried a long time ago. Most car thefts fall into 3 basic categories, well known by all police officers. First, the cars that are stolen by professionals who change the motor numbers, forge owner's certificates, repaint the bodies, and sell them throughout the country. The second group consists of joyriders, thieves who steal the cars for a few hours, merely to ride around in them and then leave them on the streets. The third category, and the one we've been working on for the past 6 weeks, dealt with the activities of car strippers. Their M.O. followed the usual pattern for this type of crime. The car would be stolen and then driven to some lonely part of the city. There, all usable accessories would be removed. Radios, tires, air horns, side mirrors, anything that could be resold would be taken. In certain cases, the articles would be stolen while the car remained parked where the owner had left it. We found that the gang had become so proficient that they could break into a car and remove the radio as well as other accessories in under 10 minutes. Avenues of sale for the stolen merchandise had been checked. Known dealers in stolen property had been questioned. As the days went on, the total of thefts went up. By the 5th of August, the gang had stolen over $12,000 in automobile accessories. In the instances where we'd been able to get a description of men loitering in the vicinity of the stripped cars, we'd had the witnesses check mug books in the hope of identifying the thieves. We'd gotten no new leads. Physical evidence at the scene of the abandoned cars had been checked and rechecked. It netted us nothing. A week passed. August 14th, 8:15 a.m. Frank and I got back to the office. The captain's really boiling, isn't he? Yeah, you can't blame him, though. They got to stop cold.
Well, we got to get a break in it sometime. All the luck can't stay on their side.
I don't know. It looks like it could happen that way.
Anything on the steakhouse last night?
No, nothing that we got so far. Maybe something later. I got it. Auto theft Friday. I beg your pardon, ma'am? Well, no. Well, yeah. What was that again? Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, yes, ma'am, but we... All right, what was that address again? Yes, I have a pen. Yeah, all right, well, we'll send a unit out. I'm sure they can help you. No, I'd suggest you get in touch with the SPCA. No, SPCA, yes, that's... All right, bye. Well, there's a dandy one.
What's that?
Woman lost a cat from her car. Want to know if we can get it back for her.
Yeah?
Says it's real easy to recognize. He has a collar on and he answers the name of Tabby.
Oh, that makes it easier.
Yeah.
Auto theft, Smith. Yes, sir. That's right. Uh-huh. Where are you calling from, sir? Yes, sir, that's on Wilshire, right? All right, sir, we'll be right there.
Anything?
Yeah, a doctor out on Wilshire parked his car out in front of his office.
Yeah.
Came back in 10 minutes. His car radio was gone.
"8:56 a.m. Frank and I got to the doctor's office. It was in a large medical building out on Wilshire Boulevard. We went up to the second floor and talked to the man who placed the call, a Dr. Alex Halsey. He told us that he'd stopped at his office on the way to a hospital call. He'd parked his car immediately in front of the building. When he returned 10 minutes later, he found that the radio had been stolen. From his office, we called the crime lab and latent fingerprints detail. Crews of men were sent from both divisions. They went over the car for possible physical evidence. Frank and I, along with Dr. Halsey, went down to the street. We talked to him while the officers worked.
Darndest thing I ever saw. I tell you, I wasn't in the building more than 10 minutes. 10 minutes outside.
Yes, sir.
Came back, and I could see right away that the door had been open.
Uh-huh.
First, I thought maybe I'd left it open. Then when I got in the car, I knew right away. As soon as I saw the radio was gone.
Yes, sir. Did you notice anyone loitering around your car when you parked in? Anybody suspicious, maybe?
No, I didn't. Of course, I might not have noticed anyone. Had my mind on Julie.
Julie?
Yes, I'm operating on her this afternoon. Poor little kid has an intestinal disorder. Only 3 months old.
Gee, that's too bad.
Yes, she'll be fine, though. Of course, the parents are worried. They always are. Can't convince them there's nothing to worry about.
Yes, sir. Then you didn't notice anyone, huh?
No, like I said, I didn't.
You sure you locked your car, sir, when you left it?
Oh, yes, I'm sure about that. Always make it a practice to lock it when I leave it. Lots of times I leave instruments in it. Always have to be careful about the instruments. Oh, yes, sir, I always lock it.
How about the windows?
What?
The windows. Did you roll them all the way up?
Roll them up. Well, now, once in a while I don't. Try to think of that. I'm not sure about this morning. No, come to think of it, I guess I didn't close them this morning. Such a wonderful day.
Yes, sir. Well, that's probably how they got into your car.
You happen to have the serial number of the radio, Dr. Halsey?
No, I don't think I have. Might be on the papers. I just got the car a couple of months ago. Might be on the papers. I can check them for you.
All right, sir. That'll help.
I'll have my secretary look them up for you right away.
Anyone else drive the car, Dr. Halsey?
Oh, no, sir. Don't believe in that. I'm the only one. Been the only one to drive it. Don't believe in lending the car to somebody else. Never have believed in it.
Mm-hmm.
Joe?
Excuse me a minute, Dr. Halsey.
Surely.
Yeah, Leonard.
Got a couple of clean prints on the dashboard. Might belong to the thief.
Yeah.
I'd like to check the doctor. It might be his.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I'll get the kit.
I know. Hey, Dr. Halsey.
Yes, Sergeant.
Okay.
This is Sergeant Tankersley of the Fingerprint Department. He'd like to check your prints.
How do you do, sir?
All right, Doctor. Wonder if I could look at your fingers, please.
Surely. Can you tell just from looking at them what you want to know?
No, sir, but you see, the prints we found are whorl. If your prints were loops, there'd be no reason to take them.
Oh, yes. I see.
How about it, Len?
Better roll them up for comparison.
We're going to take your prints, Doctor, if you have no objection.
Oh, no, of course not. Glad to help.
All right, sir. You want to step over here? We can take them in the officer's car.
Yes, glad to.
Here, I'll get the door.
Yeah, I'll get the pad. Now, Doctor, if you let me have your hand.
Surely, here.
No, sir, if you let me do it, it'd be a little easier.
Oh, yes. Just trying to help.
I will put them on the card.
Never knew my fingers were so big.
Just that we're taking the print of the whole tip of the finger, sir. Makes it look that way.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
All right, Doctor, you can get the ink off with this, I think. Here, I'll pour a little on this cloth. Here you go.
Yes, thank you.
What do you think, Leonard?
I'll check them now.
Sure be a break if they were the thieves.
Well, there must be. Couldn't be anyone else's.
Well, how about your family, Doctor? Possible the prints could be theirs, maybe?
Oh, no chance. Jenny, that's my wife. She has her own car. Kids always use that one. Like I said, I'm the only one who uses this.
Uh-huh. How about it, Len? Make them?
Yeah, they belong to Doctor.
10:02 a.m. The crime lab crew gathered what physical evidence they could find and returned to check over their findings. Frank and I took a report from Dr. Halsey, and then we talked to his secretary. She was unable to find the ownership papers on the car. We drove over to the dealer who had sold him the car and got the serial number of the stolen radio. We notified pawn shop detail and gave them the information. For the next 3 weeks, stakeouts on the parking lots in the central area continued. Arrests were made, but the thieves apparently had no connection with the gang we were after. They kept hitting, but the speed with which they operated made apprehending them difficult. On Friday, September 5th, we got a call that a stolen car had been recovered out in Topanga Canyon. We drove out to check on it. The tires, radio, horns, heater, spotlights, fog lights, and the side view mirrors had been taken. The seat covers had been removed, and the hubcaps were missing. Again, there was no physical evidence that gave us a lead to the thieves. That night at 10:52 p.m., Frank and I checked back into the office.
Another long day.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired myself.
Kind of hate to call Faye.
Why's that?
Oh, this morning when I left, I told her I'd be home for dinner, sure.
Well, didn't you call her?
No, I forgot all about it. She's really going to be sore.
Yeah, well, she'll get over it.
I don't know, Joe. It's going to be a couple of days of quiet around the house, I think.
Why, just because you missed a meal?
No, it ain't that. She had tamale pie for dinner. Boy, she sure makes it good, too. A lot of cheese, you know?
Yeah, well, she can warm it up for you when you get home. Here, go ahead.
All right.
You want to sign us out? I'll check the book.
Yeah, I'll get it. Anything?
Yeah, a call from Brennan out in Wilshire. I'll call him. Hello, Brennan around? Yeah, all right.
Say what it was about?
No, I'm calling him now. Yeah, hi, Brennan. It's Friday. Yeah. You did, huh? Where'd that happen? No kidding. Well, those are the brakes, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Brennan. Picked up a kid for running a red light driving a hot rod.
Yeah?
Car was fixed up with a lot of new stuff. Guys out of Wilshire checked it over.
Uh-huh.
According to the serial number on the radio, it was stolen from Dr. Halsey.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
In 1952, American smokers bought more Chesterfields than ever before in the history of the industry. Today, sales are still going up. Smokers everywhere are changing to Chesterfield.
Chesterfield, the first and only cigarette to give you premium quality in both regular and king size. Premium quality in a cigarette means the world's best tobaccos, the best ingredients, the best cigarette paper. Only Chesterfield gives you this premium quality in both popular sizes.
King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. Well, that's certainly important to every king size smoker. Of course, it's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. There is absolutely no difference, except that king size Chesterfield gives you more than a fifth longer smoke.
Remember, the modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. Premium quality, both regular and king size.
Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
11:27 p.m. Frank and I drove out to Wilshire Division. We checked with Sergeant Brennan, and he told us how the boy had been picked up. He'd run a red light at the corner of Pico and La Brea. He'd been stopped by two officers in a cruiser car. He was driving a cut-down 49 Ford that was equipped with Cadillac hubcaps, white sidewall tires, Chrysler horns, and a Cadillac radio. The officers had started to question him, and he'd attempted to escape. He'd been apprehended and brought to the station to be interrogated. In checking the serial number of the radio, the men from Wilshire Division had discovered that it was stolen and had left word for us. 11:45 p.m. We went to an interview room to talk to the boy.
What's your name, son?
Martin.
First name?
Herb Martin.
You know why you're here, don't you?
Yeah.
You want to tell us where you got that stuff?
I bought it.
Where?
Different places.
You remember where?
Not right off.
How old are you?
19.
Where do you live?
It's on the report.
We're asking you.
Come on, Herb.
8297 Marianne Drive.
Where were you going when they stopped you?
Home.
Where'd you been?
Around.
Same place you bought that stuff on your car, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, look, you better come off this, young fella. You might think you're a big man, but you got things a little mixed up here. You got caught with a carload of stolen accessories. Been a lot of stealing going on around town. The way your car looks, you could be responsible for it.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
You look good for it.
Look, maybe I lifted the radio and stuff, but that don't mean I'm in on the other. Sure, I got no choice. You got me nailed for the stuff you found, but I'm not going to take it for the others. Maybe I stole that stuff, but that was for me. I didn't sell it like the others. Now leave me alone, huh?
What do you mean, others?
I don't know what you mean.
You said the others.
Well, I didn't mean others like that.
Well, how did you mean it?
Well, like the guys you're looking for.
That's not the way it sounded.
No, you said it like you knew who you were talking about.
I didn't say it like that.
That's the way it sounded.
That's right, son.
Now, why don't you tell us who you meant?
Look, Herb, we haven't got all day.
Come on, boy.
We're going to get him sometime.
Who'd you mean?
All right, I'll tell you.
We continued to talk to Herb Martin. He told us of the activities of a gang of car strippers who were working on order. He went on to say that from what he'd heard, if someone wanted to pick up some fast money, a connection could be made with a man on the corner of Sunset and Western. The man would give the order for the stolen merchandise and say where and at what time it was to be delivered. Herb told us that he had the opportunity to do business with the man, but that he turned it down. He was unable to identify the man who made the contact and said that he'd never heard him referred to by name. He gave us the names and addresses of two of the men who were working for him. 12:45 a.m. Frank and I left and drove back downtown. With the assistance of officers from Wilshire Division, the two young men were brought in for questioning. They identified their contact as a Richard R. Ogden. We ran the name through R&I and found that Ogden had a previous record of petty theft. From the 510 in his package, we obtained his last known address, but the landlady told us that he'd moved and left no forwarding address. She told us, however, that she thought we could find him at the Meyer Garage on South Hoover. We drove over and found that it was a small place on the corner of Hoover and Mariposa. The owner, Alan Meyer, told us that Ogden did work for him, but that he was out. He said that the suspect was expected back almost any time. While we talked to him, Meyer worked on a small foreign car.
Great little cars. Get a real kick out of working on them.
Yeah, sure nice looking. You sell them, do you?
No, I just service them. Oh, now and then I get accessories for them. You know, I order them up, install them. Cost too much to keep a regular stock of them.
Yeah. When did you say that Ogden would be back?
We should be here now. Probably got hung up someplace. Yeah, latest thing is a hardtop. Made out of laminated fiberglass.
Is that right?
Yeah, fits right over them. Kind of makes them look like a small rolls, you know? Then with wire wheel caps, baggage racks, wind wings, you can put a lot of money in them.
Yeah, I guess so. What about all this other stuff here? Is that for these foreign cars, too?
What do you mean?
Oh, the tires, the hubcaps here?
No, that's where I make most of my money. I go out and buy them from wrecks, bring them back here, straighten them out, resell them to the independent stations around town. They can sell them a lot cheaper than new ones run. We both make a little money out of it.
Yeah.
Say, you guys like some peanuts?
No,
thanks.
Okay, you don't mind if I have some, huh? Sure you don't want any?
No,
thanks very much.
I get so hungry in the morning, I keep these things around and munch on them.
Yeah.
Go through a whole can of these a day. That'd kill me. Now, and get started on the things you can't stop. You sure you don't want some? Huh?
No, thanks. How long you known this Ogden, Meyer?
Oh, let's see. Guess it's been 10 years anyway. Went to work for me a year ago. Good man, brought a lot of business in. Say, what did you want to see him about?
Oh, we'd like to talk to him.
You don't want to tell me, huh?
Be better if we talk to him, Mr. Meyer.
Yeah. Well, here he is now. Hey, Dick.
Yeah?
A couple of fellas here want to see you.
Yeah, what is it?
You Richard Ogden?
Yeah, that's right.
Police officers. I'm Frank Smith. This is my partner, Joe Friday.
What is it you guys want me for?
I'd like to talk to you, Ogden.
Well, go ahead.
Might be better if we went outside.
Well, look, you can talk to him here. I got some work I can do in the office.
Don't want to bother you, Mr. Meyer.
No trouble at all.
Well, now, what's this all about?
You know a couple of kids named Jerry Z. Swanson and Harry T. Benson?
Swanson and Benson? No, I don't think I do.
They say they know you. Say they do some work for you.
Sorry to bother you. Forgot my peanuts.
It's all right, sir.
I'll be in the office if you need anything.
Thank you, sir.
No, anything at all.
Yes, sir. What about it, Ogden?
What about what?
You know the kids, it's Benson and Swanson?
No, I told you what.
All right, mister, let's go downtown. We'll talk it over there, huh?
What for? Why are you pulling me in?
I want you to meet the two boys if you don't know them.
Well, what's that going to prove?
We want to know why they named you. Why they said you were responsible for the car stripping that's been going on.
You mean you believe them?
We've got no reason not to. I don't think they'd stage a thing like this. They got a lot to lose.
So have I. You get me down there and those two kids point me out and I haven't got a chance. Even if I'm not the one and they say I am, you won't give me a break.
No, if you haven't done anything, you got nothing to worry about.
I'm not going. Alan? Hey, Alan.
Yeah, what is it, Dick?
Come here, will you?
Yeah, right away. What's the matter? Something wrong?
Well, these guys are going to take me to jail.
Well, what for? What's he done?
We want to talk to him, Meyer. We think he's involved in some car thefts.
Well, I know that's not true. Dick wouldn't do a thing like that. I know. I've known him a long time.
No, I'm sorry, sir, but the information we've got says he did.
Why, Dick? Why'd you do a thing like that? If what these officers say is true, well... Gee, that's awful. Why would you do a thing like that?
What are you talking about?
All right, come on, Ogden, let's go.
No, I'm not going.
I think you better do what the officers say, Dick. It'll be better if you don't cause any trouble.
Well, wait a minute. What are you trying to prove with this?
I don't know what you mean. Next thing you'll be trying to involve me in this.
Yeah, well, that's just what I'm going to do.
You see, officers, that's terrible.
Well, don't you listen to him. He's the guy behind the whole thing. Look over there, the tires, all this stuff. Sure, I stole them. I had the kids go out and pick them up, but he set it up. He sold them to the stations. He took most of the money. The whole thing was his idea.
Well, Dick, how can you say that?
Well, I can say it because it's true. I'll tell you all about it. You take him downtown, I'll tell you all about it. You're not going to let me stand for this alone.
And to think that he'd do a thing like this to me after we've been friends for so long. Bring me stolen merchandise to sell.
You got anything to back up what you're saying, Ogden?
Sure I have. You just bet I can back it up.
Go ahead.
Well, you look at his books, not the ones he's got out in the open, but you look at the ones in the safe. It's all there. All the deals he's made with the owners of the stations, all the orders, what he paid the kids for them, and what he got for them. Didn't think I knew about it, did you? Whole lousy year I've been doing the dirty work for him. Well, I've had it. I'm through. I've had it. Let me take the beef. What a crumb. I'll show him.
I don't understand it. Friends for so long. I'd have gotten you out. 10 years we've been friends. I trusted you all that time. Then you sold me out. Why?
Well, that shouldn't be too tough for you to figure.
Huh?
You showed him how.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 21st, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Remember, only Chesterfield gives you this scientific evidence on the effects of smoking. After 10 full months, the group examined showed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield. Now, speaking personally as a Chesterfield smoker, I know they're best for me. Either way you like them, you'll find Chesterfield is best for you.
Richard R. Ogden and Alan Y. Meyer were tried and convicted of receiving stolen property. They received sentences as prescribed by law. Receiving stolen property is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not more than 10 years or in the county jail for not more than 1 year. The investigation of the records of Alan Y. Meyer uncovered the names of the other men involved in the thefts. They, along with Herbert S. Martin, Jerry Z. Swanson, and Harold T. Benson, were tried on a charge of grand theft auto and convicted. They were sentenced to the state penitentiary at San Quentin, California, for the term as prescribed by law. Grand theft auto is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 10 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, 10 million Americans have diseases of the heart and blood vessels. What are the causes and the cures? Well, it'll take research to find out. Send what you can to Heart, care of your local post office. Help your heart fund. Help your heart.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Sarah Selby, Art Gilmore. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show, Tuesday night on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield, either regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, it's Adventure with Barry Craig, confidential investigator on NBC.
From 71 years ago, February 1st, 1953, Dragnet here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Thursday. We told you tomorrow it's going to be another day of crime and science fiction with that episode of Suspense. We're going to have another interesting day coming up on Saturday, as we're going to go focus around two sets of performers, two great comedy teams, Lum and Abner, or not Lum and Abner. Well, we will have an episode of Lum and Abner, but we're also going to have episodes of Fibber, McGee, and Molly, including their appearance on Suspense. We'll have an episode of Fibber, McGee, and Molly from 1936. We'll have episodes of Fibber, McGee, and Molly from 1954 and 56. And we'll have their 1949 appearance on Suspense. We'll have two episodes also of Abbott and Costello, their appearance on the Radio Hall of Fame in 1946 and on their ABC show in 1949 as they perform a Sam Shubble mystery. That's all coming up on Saturday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the podcast. Of course, always, your help always desired, especially if you're listening on YouTube. We get nothing from this. And if you'd like to support us, go to classicradio.stream. You can buy something, you can buy me a coffee, but whatever you do, just tell people that we're out here, won't you please? Okay, coming up next, an episode of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. That's from 1948. That's next here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
And now, a brief reminder from Uncle Sam that to the millions of American men and women overseas, nothing is more important than mail from home. Write often. Make your letters cheerful. And be sure to use V-mail. V-mail is private, speedy, safer, and it helps to lighten the burden of delivery.
Now, see, I just thought, and I think I've said this before, I just thought that V-mail was using this real thin paper, and you used that and sealed it up and put it in the mail. No, this is interesting. V-mail was... To reduce the cost of transferring an original letter through the military postal system, a V-mailator would be censored, keeping sensitive information out, copied to film, and printed back to paper upon arrival at its destination. Correspondence was on small letter sheets, 7 by 9 1/8 inches. It would go through the mail censors before being photographed and transported as thumbnail-size images in negative microfilm. Upon arrival to the destination, the negatives would be printed, and the final print was 60% of the original document size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 inches. It took up less space to mail, and quite frankly, the soldiers carrying around 4 by 5 letters was a lot easier than carrying something larger. So there you go. Now, while in the original run of the New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes that we had on radio, that was the revival that originally was on the NBC Blue Network, which would become ABC, and also on Mutual. Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce were best known as Holmes and Dr. Watson. In this series of shows, John Stanley and Alfred Shirley take those roles. This episode was originally broadcast 76 years ago, February 1st, 1948, entitled The Case of the Avenging Blade.
From New York, the makers of Clipper Craft Clothes for Men,
and 1,036 leading retail stores from coast to coast present the world's most famous detective, Sherlock Holmes. Our stories are based upon the character of Sherlock Holmes, created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes is played by John Stanley, Dr. Watson by Alfred Shirley, and the dramatizations are by Edith Meisner. Tonight there's frost on the windows of Dr. Watson's familiar study, and an overcast sky threatens another fall of snow. But as we sit snug and warm in front of a glowing fire, our thoughts turn to Sherlock Holmes and his immortal exploits. Well, which one are we to have tonight, Dr. Watson?
Tonight, Mr. Harris, I think I'll tell you the case of the Avenging Blade. One of the most touch-and-go, not to say hair-raising adventures it was ever my privilege to share with the sage of Baker Street.
Meaning Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I was certainly not referring to Mrs. Hudson. Yes, when I think how close that sword came to decapitating the person we both... There I go, anticipating again. But before I become further involved in the attempted murder which occurred at the base of the equestrian statue of Charles I, suppose you stop me long enough to say a few well-chosen words on another important subject.
I'll do my very best, Dr. Watson. You may have noticed that Clippercraft clothes are never on sale at reduced prices. There's a reason for this. It's that Clippercraft clothes are so low priced in the first place, for such remarkable quality, that sales just aren't necessary. What makes these amazing values possible? Right in your own local independent store, the store you can trust. Well, it's the famous Clippercraft plan. The plan that concentrates the buying power of 1,036 great stores across the country, creating year-round economies in manufacturing and distribution costs. You're the gainer through the efficient Clippercraft plan. That's why you pay only $40 and $45 for a Clippercraft suit, only $40 for a top coat or overcoat, and only $26.50 for sport jackets. That's why your eyes will pop with amazement when you see the fine tailoring and the rich, long-wearing fabrics at these low prices. Yes, compare Clippercraft with clothes selling for many dollars more. And now to return to the Avenging Blade, the attempted murder and the equestrian statue, Dr. Watson.
Yes, the famous statue of Charles I stands in Charing Cross, which, as you know, is often called the centre of London.
Charing Cross, isn't that the open space to the south of Trafalgar Square, Dr. Watson?
Correct, Mr. Harris. But to begin at the beginning, it is one of those clear, rare days in late January which now and then surprise the city of London. The sky was a brilliant blue, and the light, powdery fall of snow reflected the dazzling sunlight outside. Holmes was lounging on the sofa in a brilliant purple dressing gown, his pipe rack within his reach, ashes scattered on the floor, and the crumpled morning papers littering the room in all directions. My dear Holmes, no one could accuse you of being a tidy man.
Only in my head, Watson. My brain houses what is probably the most accurate and complete collection of information in all of England, if not in the entire world. And it's all in meticulous and precise order.
Conceit.
Not at all, Watson, merely accuracy. But of what use are my unequal mental abilities? For months there's been no crime worthy of my attention, no case with any originality, any imagination.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. You found the Shah of Baghdad's missing emerald. You outwitted the band of nihilists who were threatening to blow up both houses of Parliament.
Commonplace, strictly routine investigations.
Oh, there's our front doorbell. Maybe it's a case.
Look out of the window, Watson, and see who's on the doorstep. That's a good chap.
Pity you wouldn't bestir yourself now and then. Tallish man, dressed in Highland regalia. Bonnet, kilts. He's even wearing a Scottish dirk in his stocking.
Rather drafty attire for a day like this. By the way, Watson, what day is it?
Wednesday, of course.
I mean, what day of the month?
Let me see. The 30th, I believe. Well, at least according to the Times it is.
Yes, I think we may grant that is one subject on which the Times is fairly accurate. The 30th of January, of course, it's the anniversary of the beheading of Charles I. So that's why he's donned his kilts.
Mrs. Hudson is slow answering the door this morning. He's looking up here. Great Scott, Holmes, it's the Duke of Buckinghurst.
I suspected as much.
For heaven's sake, don't just sit there, Holmes. Help me to tidy up this clutter. What sort of an impression do you expect to make sprawled there in the midst of all this mess?
My dear Watson, if his lordship has a case sufficiently important to warrant my attention, he'll be in no mood to notice trifles. If not, I'm not interested in his lordship. I'm not impressed by titles, Watson. They're so apt to due to the chance of heredity, like red hair or a Roman nose.
At least you might straighten your collar. Oh, come in. Oh, Lord Buckinghurst, this is an honor. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
No, not that chair. I think you'll find this one more comfortable. May I relieve you of your bonnet? Would you like a drop of brandy?
Watson, if you'll stop playing the palpitating hostess, Lord Buckinghurst might like to explain why he's called to consult me.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. It's all so fantastic, I really don't know where to begin. If I had received this note at any other time, I'd have put it down to some poor demented half-wit. Persons in my position, Mr. Holmes, are unfortunately the recipients of a great many curious communications. Everything from begging letters to blackmail.
There's nothing fantastic about blackmail in your position, Lord Buckinghurst. Consequently, that is not the gist of the letter that brought you here.
Good Lord, no. It's it's incredible. I hardly know how to describe it.
Suppose you allow me to view the letter and judge for myself.
That would be the most sensible procedure, I suppose. Here you are, Mr. Holmes.
Paper, excellent quality. An educated script. Half English, half continental. Notice the final S's, Watson.
Well, yes, but to blaze it with the S's, what does it say?
You must pardon my friend's lack of restraint, Lord Buckinghurst. He will never realize that the writing paper and general appearance of a letter often give me more information about the sender than the contents of the message.
I think you will agree that the contents of this letter is of no small interest, Mr. Holmes.
Yes. Let's see. To the late Duke of Buckinghurst. Interesting. Beware the blade of the martyr king.
Brief but bewildering, eh, Holmes?
Not entirely. Lord Buckinghurst, you are, if I'm not mistaken, descended from the Duke of Buckinghurst, who was the favourite and boon companion of the ill-fated Charles I.
Correct, Mr. Holmes. As the eldest of my family, it thus evolves upon me to attend the memorial services which are held every 30th of January by the Royal Martyr Society and place a commemorative wreath on the pedestal of the statue.
Designed, if I'm not mistaken, by Grinling Gibbons.
Really? I had no idea. It's not so old as the statue, I believe. The pedestal, I mean.
Quite. Tell me, Lord Buckinghurst, does this expression, the blade of the martyr king, have any particular significance to you?
Why, yes and no. I presume it refers to the ancient superstition which concerns the sword in the statue's hand.
Which is?
It seems that after the monarchy was restored, Charles II witnessed the execution of Thomas Harrison and the other regicides at Charing Cross. After the bloody event was over and his predecessor had been avenged, he made a proclamation to his followers.
You have witnessed the fate which befalls those who dare to turn against the crown. And so that you shall be reminded thereof, I hereby decree that on this spot shall be erected the statue of my martyred ancestor Charles, and to his hand shall be restored the sword which he carried at Marsden Moor and Naseby, and which was taken from him by the Scottish friends who foully betrayed him to his enemies. If any man dare henceforth to plot against the crown, let him beware that sword.
They say, Mr. Holmes, that when a traitor to the crown approaches the statue, the sword trembles and cries out for vengeance.
How is that supposed to affect you, Lord Buckinghurst?
Lest if I know.
And yet, someone obviously wants you to believe that if you attend this ceremony today, there'll be a catastrophe of some sort. I say, why not just send word you have a bad cold and can't attend? As a medical man, I'd be more than glad to vouch for your indisposition.
Never. Whoever wrote that note doesn't know me very well. If he thinks he can scare me off by any such hocus-pocus...
Or he may know you very well. Tell me, Lord Buckinghurst, if you should be incapacitated on any of these occasions, who would be called on to place the wreath on the pedestal?
Why, my heir, of course.
You have a son old enough to represent you?
No, Dr. Watson. I allude to my brother James. I'm a bachelor and have no children. If anything should happen to me, my brother inherits the title.
By any chance, Lord Buckinghurst, was your brother educated in France?
Why, yes, Mr. Holmes. He attended the Sorbonne. It was while he was studying in Paris that he met Claire, his wife. Oh, I see what you're driving at. You think James may have written that note hoping to keep me at home so he would have the limelight in today's celebration? No. In the first place, my brother knows me too well for that. And in the second place, he's insufferably shy. He'd die of stage fright if he had to make a public appearance of any sort.
But he will attend the ceremony.
Oh, yes, Mr. Holmes. The entire family will be there.
Should be a rather colourful affair. What do you say we accompany Lord Buckinghurst, Watson?
Oh, with pleasure. And I promise you, sir, that whatever the danger is that threatens you, you'll be quite safe with Sherlock Holmes along.
Don't be fatuous, Watson.
Why do you think I dropped in this morning? But we'd better be getting along. The program begins in half an hour.
Oh, there's no hurry. We have plenty of time for a stirrup cup. Scotch, I believe, would be appropriate to the occasion.
Aye. Take my advice and drink it neat. Those breezes round Charing Cross are very brash this time of year.
Shall I get the bottle, Holmes?
No, Watson. I'll do the honours. You might fetch my greatcoat, however, and your service revolver. That's a good chap.
Righto.
I don't know whether you know it, Lord Buckinghurst, but the statue of Charles I you are about to decorate has a rather ironic history.
Really?
It was cast in 1633 by Hubert Lesueur, a pupil of Giovanni Bologna, that had not yet been erected when the Civil War broke out and the first Charles was deposed and beheaded. It was subsequently sold by Parliament to a brazier by the name of Rivet.
Rivet? Appropriate cognomen, eh, Holmes?
Don't interrupt, Watson. Mr. Rivet was ordered to melt the statue down.
Rank vandalism. That's the trouble with people always wanting to destroy someone else's handiwork.
Calm yourself, Watson. Remember, the statue does stand in Charing Cross today.
You mean old man Rivet didn't destroy the silly thing?
He announced that he'd done just that. And for years he made a tidy living out of selling fragments of metal as souvenirs to both cavaliers and roundheads. However, when the Restoration came along, he sold the statue back to the government at a neat profit. It was subsequently erected on the spot where it now stands.
Oh, the old scoundrel. I say, Lord Buckinghurst, you look a bit glossy-eyed. Don't you feel very fit?
Matter of fact, I do feel a bit squeamish. Must be the motion, the handsome cab. Never had it affect me this way before.
Hold tight, we're nearly there. Just turning into Trafalgar Square.
Goodness for that.
Yes, look, Holmes. There's the statue up ahead. Quite a group of people gathered around. Lots of them wearing kilts, and there are bagpipers. I do enjoy a Highland air on the doodle sack, you know.
Well, here we are, Lord Buckinghurst.
Good. Get me out of here. Be all right when I get my feet on terra firma.
Oh, there you are, Robert. We thought you would never get here. They've been waiting nearly half an hour to begin the ceremonies. The pipers have blown themselves practically out of breath, keeping the crowd entertained.
Sorry. Claire, my dear, may I present Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson? Gentlemen, this is my brother James and his wife.
How do you do?
How do you do? How do you do?
This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the detective.
Quite.
Oh, how delightfully exciting. But, Robert, why a detective at a time like this?
Just a precaution.
Precaution? Precaution against what? Do not tell me there is something of which my brother-in-law, the indomitable Duke of Buckinghurst, is afraid.
You do look a bit wonky, Robert. Is anything wrong?
Matter of fact, I do feel a trifle under the weather.
Oh.
There, that Finn and Haddie I had for breakfast must have upset me. James, if I should have to retire suddenly, you take over when it comes time to place the wreath.
Oh, but I couldn't really.
Why not?
Everyone would be looking at me. I wouldn't know what to do.
You don't do anything but carry the wreath, escorted on either side by bagpipers playing a dirge.
But
when you reach the statue, you place the wreath at its feet, and the pipers break into a Scottish battle song. It's all there is to it. Am I right, Lord Buckinghurst?
That's all. James,
No, I can't let him do it. James is just out of a sick bed. He would have to remove his overcoat. And in those kilts in this icy wind, it would probably kill him.
The wind, Lady Claire?
I say, look, the ceremony is nearly ready to begin. The minister's about to read the benediction.
You'll have to excuse me.
Oh, Robert, you can't leave now.
I have to, James. I think I'm going to be sick. I know I'm going to be sick.
Holmes, what did you put in that scotch you gave to Lord Buckinghurst?
Here come the bagpipers with the wreath. Well, Lord Buckinghurst hasn't come back. Looks as though you'd have to carry on, Sir James.
Oh, dear, I do wish Robert would come back. I'm not at all good at this sort of thing.
James, I forbid you to do it. You can't take off your overcoat. Let someone else place the wreath. Let Mr. Holmes do it.
Thank you, madam, but it's an honor to which I'm afraid I cannot aspire. My ancestors were mostly Roundheads, you know. I'm afraid King Charles wouldn't approve. I wouldn't want to come within striking distance of that famous sword.
Oh, you are joking. Such an amusing man.
Am I?
Oh, dear. Yes, they've noticed Robert is missing. They're bringing the wreath to me. Here, somebody hold my coat.
Oh, no, James, no.
Sorry, madam. You know the expression noblesse oblige. Carry on, Sir James.
Yes, I suppose I shall have to. Oh, dear, I wish I'd stayed in bed.
James, you fool, you idiot.
Not a very impressive figure, the cadet branch of the House of Buckinghurst, eh, Holmes?
No man with knocked knees should wear kilts in public. Still, there are all kinds of courage, Watson.
James, he's reached the statue. He's kneeling to place the wreath.
Watson, quick, hand me your revolver.
Yes, but what will...
I don't like the angle of the statue's sword over his head.
Oh, Holmes, have you taken leave of your senses?
You'll know when they start to play the battle cry. Yes, the pipers are filling their lungs. Here they go.
Good Lord, Holmes! The sword, you hit it in midair. You've broken it to bits.
I prevented it from impaling Sir James's body.
No, this is too much. It's killed him. He's lying on the ground. He's dead.
Calm yourself, madam. Your husband's only fainted. The sword missed him completely.
Oh.
Watson, will you go and revive Sir James? I'll attend to her ladyship here.
Very well, Holmes.
And now, madam,
Now what, Mr. Holmes?
why did you attempt to kill your husband's brother? You knew the vibrations of the wild Stuart battle cry on the bagpipes would dislodge the loosened sword in the statue's hand. You knew it would probably pierce the back of anyone kneeling below. You screamed to warn your husband before the sword fell.
Mon cher Monsieur Holmes, you are almost as clever as people say you are. I will not bother to deny your accusations. Why should I? There's nothing you can prove. What have I to be afraid of?
The man you hired to loosen the sword in the statue's hand. With my sources of information, it shouldn't take me more than 24 hours to find him. With my powers of persuasion, it shouldn't take me more than 24 minutes to make him talk.
What is that expression they teach the children in this country, Mr. Holmes? Do not count the chickens until they are hatched?
It's no trick to make ordinary clothes at low prices, but it takes real manufacturing genius to produce really fine clothes that not only look far above, but are far above the modest price you pay for them. That's why we say try on a Clippercraft tomorrow. It'll be hard to believe you're getting so very much for so very little. Such expert tailoring, smart styling, and superb long-wearing fabrics. This tremendous feat is accomplished through the renowned Clippercraft plan, which concentrates the buying power of 1,036 of the nation's finest stores from coast to coast. It brings you Clippercraft suits at only $40 and $45, top coats and overcoats at only $40, and sport jackets at only $26.50. Yes, selling expensive clothes at inexpensive low prices at the nation's finest independent stores is the great big idea behind the Clippercraft plan. That's why men who know insist on Clippercraft clothes. So be sure to visit the Clippercraft store in your city.
These leading stores in the metropolitan area are proud to add their names to Clippercraft in your suit, top coat, and overcoat. In Manhattan, John Wanamaker Men's Stores, Broadway at 8th and 67 Liberty Street. Saks 34th, Broadway at 34th. In Brooklyn, Abraham and Strauss. In Newark, New Jersey, Boulevard Men's Shop, Kresge Newark. And in Jamaica, the B&B Clothes Shop, 16408 Jamaica Avenue.
And now back to Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. We find them standing in the dim light of a street lamp which marks the entrance to a crooked lane in Soho. Large flakes of falling snow intensify the expectant silence of the winter night.
How much longer do we have to wait out here in this confounded snow, Holmes? It's after midnight.
We shall wait here, Watson, until the Lady Clare arrives to pay a visit to the artisan who loosened the sword for her. You see, I was better than my promise. I tracked him down in less than 24 hours.
What makes you so sure she'll come?
She must, Watson. As long as Andre Bogard is alive, he's a threat to her safety.
You think she'll try to finish him off?
My dear Watson, a woman who's capable of attempting to murder her husband's brother so that he may inherit is capable of anything.
Holmes, when did you first suspect the vixen?
From the beginning. The letter of warning had to be written either by James or his wife. They were the only two who'd benefit by the death of Lord Buckinghurst. They were the only two who knew him well enough to know the effect the letter would be bound to have on him.
You mean he'd attend the ceremony come hell or high water?
Exactly. James didn't duck when the bagpipes burst into that violent squalling. Claire, however, screamed to warn him. Hence, she was the guilty party. QED. Here comes a four-wheeler. Yes, it's turning down this alleyway. Down behind these barrels, Watson.
It stopped in front of Bogard's shop. I say she's not getting out.
No. She's seen Andre's shadow on the blind. Yes, She's lowering the cab window. A woman's hand comes out of the window.
It's holding a revolver.
Very well, Lestrade, you have your proof. You may come down from the driver's seat and arrest the lady.
Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, better you use handcuffs on her, Lestrade. By the way, madam, this should teach you. Never, when on a secret mission, never take the first cab that presents itself. You never know who the coachman is. Oh, and thank you so much for your display of marksmanship. I think it'll persuade Andre to tell us all we wish to know.
Oh, no, Mr. Holmes. I never miss. It is too late for Andre to tell anyone anything.
I'm so sorry to disillusion you, but it wasn't Andre's head your bullet hit.
What?
Merely a cleverly arranged silhouette of the man. I cut it out of cardboard myself only an hour ago.
Oh.
You see, Lady Claire, I have artistic blood in my veins. Or didn't you know?
You... I think you are the devil himself.
No, madam, only his second cousin.
All right, Lestrade, you may take it away.
Well, that was a touch-and-go adventure, Dr. Watson, just as you promised. But tell me, what did Holmes put in the Duke of Buckinghurst scotch?
Something out of my medical kit, I'm afraid. Something called Epicac. It's a well-known emetic. You see, Holmes had to be sure the Duke of Buckinghurst would not be able to perform his part of the ceremony.
Oh, I see. And now, Dr. Watson, what's the theme of next week's story?
Next week, I'm going to take you back to Hurlstone, Mr. Harris.
Hurlstone, wasn't that the ancient manor house that was the scene of the Musgrave ritual?
Right. Next week's story is a different one, however. It concerns a gruesome family ghost story told by Reginald Musgrave's newly acquired wife, and how Mr. Plunkett, the Pickle King, insisted on sleeping in the room where Charles I had slept, and how the ghost story was reenacted with more accuracy than anyone had believed possible.
The makers of Clippercraft clothes and 1,036 leading stores from coast to coast have brought you another in the new series of broadcasts featuring the world's most famous detective, Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is produced and directed by Basil Lochran, with special music by Albert Berman. If you don't know your Clippercraft dealer, write Clippercraft, 200 Fifth Avenue, New York City. Be sure to listen next week to Sherlock Holmes in the case of the sanguinary Spectre. If you'd like to attend the Sherlock Holmes broadcasts in New York, see your local Clippercraft dealer, and he'll tell you how to obtain your tickets.
This is Cy Harris speaking for Clippercraft Clothes. This is the world's largest network serving more than 450 radio stations, the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Be sure to hear Melvin Elliott reporting the latest headline news, which follows in just a moment. Fly Eastern Airlines' new type Constellation with 300 million passenger miles of dependability. Fly Eastern Airlines. Remember, there's no finer way to travel.
And there you go, from 76 years ago, February 1st, 1948, over the Mutual Broadcasting System, the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And I need to actually make that edit here because I keep referring to it as the adventures. The original Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, that actually was back in 1930, and these are some shows I hope we can find somewhere, between 1930 and 1936. most of the series. Richard Gordon played Holmes. Leigh Lovett played Dr. Watson. And I hope we can find some of those shows at some point in time. I'm Wyatt Cox, and yes, you are listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. One of our favorite shows is Orson Welles, and no matter what he does, he has a commanding presence over the show, and especially in the shows that were recorded overseas, like this was The Lives of Harry Lime. There's no record of who the other players were at all. So let's listen to this as Orson Welles encounters the Dark Enchantress here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
America in step for victory. America marshaling its energies for war. American soldiers at the front. A great civilian army lending them support behind the lines. Yes, the American people are determined that nothing shall stand in the way of total victory. Patriotically, they are rationing their goods and resources to make huge bomber fleets, great tank corps, mighty battle squadrons available to our young men in the Army and Navy. Americans know that the sacrifices they're making on the home front are small compared to the sacrifices of the men on the battlefront.
And this is Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on a Thursday. The Lives of Harry Lime, produced by prolific British radio producer Harry Alan Towers and his company Towers of London. Towers and Graham Greene had the same literary agent. Towers learned Greene had not sold the rights to the character of Harry Lime to Alexander Korda when he sold Korda the Third Man. Well, Towers bought the rights to the character, and in 1951, he put together a syndicated radio series, Orson Welles reprising the role of Harry Lime in a series of adventures that preceded the story told in The Third Man, because Harry Lime died in that. And so we hear the first prequel to the motion picture, The Third Man, The Lives of Harry Lime. We still hear the same zither music, though, and that's what we will hear now. It's February 1st, 1952, 72 years ago, The Lives of Harry Lime and the Dark Enchantress.
Presenting Orson Welles as the Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
I once thought I knew all about women. Of course, I was pretty young at the time. How was I to know that Nursey would squeal on me? Still, I soon grew up, and since then I've made a few simple rules. Blondes cannot be trusted. Redheads aren't reliable. And if you want to avoid trouble, never get mixed up with a brunette. Yes, if you follow these rules, life is much more simple. There's only one trouble: it isn't any fun. In my life, I'm glad to say I've had a lot of fun. Take that time in Algiers. Some people say you live and learn, but I, for one, prefer to learn and live.
And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the Third Man, in The Dark Enchantress.
Algiers. Algiers. You've all heard of it. Algiers, the port of mystery and intrigue. Invaded by the Phoenicians, the Carthaginians, Romans, Vandals, the Byzantines, the Arabs, the Turks, the French, and Harry Lime. Algiers. I guess you've all heard about it. A city that is all things to all men. Algiers, the Indianapolis of North Africa. Then there's the Kasbah, made so popular some seasons ago by Mr. Charles Boyer. But jokes apart, there is a place there where tourists definitely aren't invited and where I'm welcomed, or at least permitted to enter. And it's called the Barbary Queen.
Harry Lime! Welcome back to the Kasbah. I've been saving your favorite table here for... How long is it?
How long? Oh, too long, Tutu. I see the Barbary Queen hasn't changed. Same sights, same smells. Haven't your customers gone home since my last...
Please, mon ami. It's not so much like the old days anymore. The Barbary Queen is becoming almost dull. Nothing ever happens.
Almost dull, eh? Tutu, nothing ever happens? How many throats are slit on a night when things do happen?
No, Lucien, these pigments is not making me trouble. Hello, stop it. No, stop it, I'll kill you. Throw them out. All right, the fight is finished. The trouble is over.
You have not been served yet, monsieur?
Tutu is wrong. It appears the trouble is just beginning.
That depends on what you call trouble. May I join you?
Allow me.
Thank you. You haven't been to the Barbary Queen before?
Not recently, not since you joined the staff.
Ah, Magda, I'm glad you discovered my friend. This is Harry Lime. You treat him good. He's a fine man.
I shall do my best, Tutu.
Now, I send over 2 drinks on my house.
Tutu's a busy little bee.
You're friends with Tutu, and you're an American. Few Americans ever come here, and none of them are friends with Tutu.
Oh, we aren't exactly bosom chums, Tutu and I, but we've been partners in a couple of deals.
Oh, so that's it. I knew you must be valuable to him.
You, Magda? Just how valuable are you?
To you?
We'll take that up in a minute. What's your connection with Tutu?
I sing. I entertain the customers.
That's what it says on your passport. With your looks, you've got to have a couple of rackets. Maybe I can help.
And you, Harry Lime, you're one of those men who profess to know women too well.
Not me, honey. I profess to know nothing whatsoever about your sex. I just enjoy it.
You know, Harry Lime, I'm a little sad for the years I didn't know you.
Well, don't burst into tears, honey. Remember, to know me better is to like me less.
Is that a warning?
As you like.
I like it very much.
Here you are, Harry Lime, the refreshments.
Just about time, Tutu. Your Magda had me backed into a corner.
Well, is she not the one? And Magda, after you finish the drink, another song, please, no?
Of course, Tutu.
But for now, just enjoy yourself.
Now, what were we saying?
I believe I was warning you about me.
Oh, yes, and I was...
Oh, Magda, I'm so glad I found you. I was scared to death. I thought perhaps you'd gone home or
Susan.
something.
Say, the Barbary Queen is turning into a regular grab bag of surprises. Since when do high school girls cavort about in such a den of iniquity?
You're an American.
Did you think you were the only one?
You don't have to be nasty about it.
Susan, I thought I told you never to come to the Queen.
Oh, but Magda, I wanted to hear you sing.
You have no business in the Kasbah at all. It's dangerous for tourists.
Particularly for a young girl like you.
Oh, it was all right, Magda. Nobody paid any attention to me. And I arrived here just in time to see the last of the fight. Wasn't it thrilling?
You must leave, Susan. I can't give you any time tonight. As you see, I'm working. Go back to your hotel. I'll see you tomorrow.
That's the way you want it.
That's the way I want it.
You're not angry?
No, of course not. Go now, Susan. Like a good girl.
All right, then. I hope I didn't cause you any trouble, Magda.
Oh, these Americans. Try to be nice to them. Show them around.
Well, I'm an American.
You? You're not an American or a European or anything. You're Harry Lime. I drink to our long friendship.
Thanks, honey. Now you better go sing your little song. I've got something to attend to.
Susan, that's what you're going to attend to.
Honey, you're a mind reader.
That's cool, girl.
Well, there's nothing wrong with getting an education. Schoolgirls are okay with me, particularly when they're cute little redheads, but I don't think they've got much business in the Casbah, not in this part of it, not this late at night. It just occurred to me that your friend Susan may have more trouble getting out of the Casbah than she had coming in.
Very well, Harry Lime. If you wish to be gallant, when you tire of her, then you know where to find me. I'm always here, or in my rooms above the cafe.
Okay, honey. Now, if you'll excuse me, you'll sing a
You're
little
very
song.
insulting, Harry Lyman. Now I'll tell you something. I don't care whether you come to see me or not. I don't care whether I ever see you again.
Magda, honey, don't say I didn't warn you. Remember, to know me is to loathe me. The Magda Polarises of this world are an old story to me, but this particular one had an interesting agenda, one I couldn't quite fathom as yet, so I gave her time to solve it for me. Meanwhile, there was this young Susan. I found her at the doorway of the Barbary Queen, peering somewhat uncertainly down the narrow cobbled streets of the Casbah. It's no use waiting for a streetcar.
What? Oh, you're the man who was with Magda.
Yes, I was just leaving. Suppose we scram out of here together.
Thank you, but I can take care of myself.
I can take care of myself. A familiar title. So many sad little stories of girls like you.
You're going to start lecturing.
My dear Susan, a lecture is the farthest thing from my mind. If you want to get kidnapped, it's your business, not mine.
I think it's silly. The Casbah's no more dangerous than Market
Street. I thought you hailed from San Francisco.
What?
Nob Hill, an old family, isn't that right?
How did you...
It shows, Susan, it shows. Even the dusky shadows of the Casbah. Don't your parents worry about you?
Never mind my parents.
I never minded my own.
Of all the fresh... Oh, all right. I'll go with you.
Okay, the routine wasn't sparkling, I know, but it worked. It worked. I'd smelled money from the first moment I set eyes on Susan. Well-known lime luck was in. Just how it would pay off, I had no idea, so I took Susan to the edge of the Casbah, found a cab for her, and was just sending her off home to Mother when I noticed a bulky individual observing us a little too closely. He caught my eye and then left the neighborhood fast. I pondered this over a cup of so-called coffee at a friendly tavern and then went on to my own hotel.
Come right on in, Harry Lime.
Well, this is a night of surprises. Who are you?
You can call me Mike Nolan.
Oh, you're a detective.
Right on the button, Mr. Lime. What do you want for a prize? A Cupid doll, maybe, or a genuine plaster-up Paris in Genestre?
How would you like me to call the manager? Or haven't you heard about invasion of privacy? Seems there's some sort of law.
You were suspect the minute you landed in Algiers, Lime. Next thing I know, you're chaperoning Susan Claremont.
Who?
That's pretty fast work, even for you.
You seem to be speaking English, Nolan, but I don't get it. Passing over the fact that I'm suspect, as you call it. Just who is Susan Clem? Oh, Susan.
See the light, Mr. Lime?
That girl I put in the cab
The
tonight.
same. It may interest you to know that her father asks us to keep an eye on his daughter. He's worried. Seems she's taken up with the wrong friends in Algiers.
Mm-hmm.
After tonight, I can see why.
Sounds like he has money.
Mr. Moneybags himself, as if you didn't know.
No, I didn't, but thanks just the same. And you may tell the authorities that I was merely escorting Miss Claremont to safety.
You?
You may also advise her father that his daughter went into the Casbah quite alone. If he's so concerned about her welfare, he might devote more time to her whereabouts.
But...
Good night, Mr. Nolan. I've only engaged a single here at the hotel. If you insist on staying, I'll have to notify the management. Of course, you will pay the additional fee for your stay.
What? Ah, well, they warned me you were slippery line. But if you try any funny business, just remember, we're wise to you.
Good, good. I expect the same protective interest from the authorities that they extend to other American tourists.
Okay, wise guy, but watch it.
Good night, Mike Nolan. In my business, twists of fate are a specialty. I usually know how to keep the police wondering where I am during working hours, but just let me take a vacation, and all the authorities in town are suddenly very busy. In this case, the cops worrying about Susan only whetted my interest. I hadn't a notion of the spot she got herself in the next afternoon.
352, 350... Oh, this must be it.
Oui? Oh, but what a charming visitor.
Oh, I must have the wrong address. I thought this is where Miss Polaris...
But of course, you are Suzanne. Magda told me to expect you.
Oh, then I am in the right place.
Mais oui. Please come in, mademoiselle. Magda will be somewhat delayed, but she told me to amuse you. After all, she planned this rendezvous for us.
Please, help me.
Again? Oh, really, Susan? This can become a habit.
Oh, please. Parents mustn't know.
No, thank you. No, you spell trouble for me, Susan. Just go your own sweet way, and I'll go mine.
Please.
Hey, wait a minute. What's wrong? Oh, she's been drugged. No, she's done it. All I need is for Mike Nolan to walk by and see Susan draped in my arms like this. Oh, if I must, I must. Taxi!
Yes, monsieur?
You heard me. I want a taxi.
No taxis, monsieur. Please, buy a rug.
I don't want a rug. Get me a horse and carriage.
Straight to Nara, monsieur. Like to see some pretty girls, dancing girls?
I got my own pretty girl. We're not going dancing. She's unconscious, and I want to get her home quick. Get me a donkey or something. Get me a camel. Get me a helicopter. Get me out of here.
Orson Welles returns in just a moment as the third man. And now, Orson Welles, as the third man, continues with The Dark Enchantress.
I didn't dare take Susan to my place. It was just possible she was a police plant. So I took her to the last place I ever thought Harry Lyme would enter, the convent of the Little Sisters of Charity, just off the Kasbah.
The poor child. This is a terrible thing, Mr. Lyme.
Where am I?
You are quite safe, my child.
You fainted, Susan. I brought you to this convent.
But Charles.
Charles?
There is no one here by that name.
Oh, what a fool I've been.
Would you like to tell us just what happened, Susan?
Oh, no, just leave me alone.
Perhaps you should take this matter to the police, Mr.
Oh, no,
Lyme.
no.
I think her parents are the ones to judge that, sister.
Oh, no, they mustn't know. I'll get the money from Dad somehow.
Money?
Come, my child. Tell us what happened. Nothing is so bad that a little understanding won't ease.
Well, I went to Magda's apartment to meet her, I thought. But he was there instead.
He?
He said his name was Charles Poncaire. He was very good looking, about my height and dark. He said Magda had arranged the meeting and he served cocktails. And it was after that things grew hazy and I don't remember.
Mickey's.
What, Mr. Lyme?
Susan was evidently drugged, sister. The cocktails were drugged.
Oh, yes.
When I came to, Charles was very different. He said if I didn't get him 5,000 pounds, he'd tell my parents I'd been alone with him. And he knew all about me and where we were staying, everything.
There,
So how did you manage to get from Magda's rooms over the Barbary Queen to where I ran into you, Susan? Your condition certainly didn't warrant it.
But Magda doesn't live above the cafe, Mr. Lyme. She said she was staying at 356 Rue Madelon.
Rue Madelon?
I fought with Charles and I ran out in the street and I didn't know what I was doing.
Mr. Lyme, this is Rue Madelon. That 356 address is almost across the street. The building on the corner.
Oh, so Magda keeps two establishments.
She must have given me the wrong address. What'll I do?
Go home to Mother and tell all. That's what you do. It's the only way, Susan, unless you prefer the police.
Oh, no.
You happened into an unscrupulous blackmailer, and the best way out of the trouble is to inform your parents what has happened and then leave the rest to me.
Oh, you'd do that for me?
I find I do have an Achilles heel, my dear.
Oh, how can I ever thank you?
Oh, no, don't start weeping again. We'll flood out the Little Sisters of Charity. Come on, Susan. Let's get to your parents before I change my plan. Mr. and Mrs. Claremont were exactly what I'd expected. Wealthy, well-meaning, and incredibly stupid about the realities of life. All this fitted into my plan perfectly, and as Mother Claremont bustled her child into the boudoir, Father Claremont and I discussed business.
This is a terrible thing, Mr. Lyme. Why such a scandal could wreck my daughter's reputation. I can't understand how she could allow herself to get into such a predicament.
Well, it happens all the time, but how such things happen to beautiful young girls is beside the point now, Mr. Claremont. The important thing is how to deal with this Charles Poincaré.
I'd like to beat him to a pulp.
That'd make a pretty headline for the Chronicle. Financier manhandles daughter as blackmailer.
Please, this must never get to the press.
That's why I suggest you keep the police out of it.
What shall I do
Mr.
then?
Claremont, do you trust me?
You, of course, Mr. Lyme. Why, you saved my little girl.
Then give me the $5,000 in cash.
What?
Allow me to pay off your blackmailer and see that he doesn't come back for more, Mr. Claremont. You see, I understand these things. The pieces of the puzzle were dropping nicely into place. I could see a way of keeping Mr. Claremont's cash and also getting a little more from Mr. Charles Poincaré for my silence. See, if you understand these things, there is a certain amount of honor among thieves. So went back to my hotel. Hadn't been any calls, had a quick bath, shaved. Just getting ready to start for the mysterious address on Rue Madelon when... Yes? Yes?
Monsieur Harry Lyme.
Who wants him?
Charles Poincaré.
Well, would you come in, Monsieur Poincaré?
Thank you.
Need I say I hardly expected you?
Vraiment. But since I realized it was merely a matter of time until you visited my quarters, monsieur, I thought I would save you the trouble.
Oh, it's very nice, old man, I'm sure, but
I followed the girl into the street when she fled. I saw her approach you.
As simple as that.
Oui.
And from said meeting, you knew my identity, that Susan would tell me all.
And that you would offer to aid the distressed family, that you have, in fact, my $5,000.
I see. Your powers of observation amaze me, Mr. Poincaré.
Susan called Magda and confided in her.
And you and Magda?
Are birds of a feather, Monsieur Lyme, even as you are.
Oh.
Learning this much from Susan, Magda took the trouble to learn more about you.
I see. I underestimated the lady.
You're not the first one. And now, my money.
First, tell me one thing.
Oui.
Even though I am a bird of your feather, Poincaré, what's to stop me from going to the police with the whole story?
You did not think I would allow you to continue living, Monsieur Lyme?
Well, there's no harm in asking. So, this is the picture. I hand over the loot and you dispose of me. Is that it?
But of course. A gun with a silencer is a beautiful way to end such a life. Your body will be found, but the world will be most happy to be rid of Harry Lyme. It will not worry about who did it.
You sound as though you were enjoying this.
I am.
I suppose I have no choice in the matter.
None whatsoever.
Even though I've planned how to get much more revenue from Mr. Claremont. 50,000 as a starter.
50,000?
And this time no one will tell Magda. We split the take. You and I.
Come no closer, monsieur.
I was just going to deliver this down payment. Missed me. And I track a buck and snare a doe.
Let me go.
Oh, no, Magda. This is too good a joke, and it'll cost you your 5,000.
Come on, up your hands. Both of you.
Well, Mike Nolan again. You're a busy guy.
This isn't my doing, Mr. Lyme. I try to explain...
Well, gentlemen, this looks like the end of the story. The clock has struck 12, the coach has turned into a pumpkin, and the prince has changed into Cinderella.
Hey, what are you talking about, Lyme?
If you'll take this lady off my hands, Nolan, I'll attempt to explain.
Lady? Him? Is that the man that my daughter...
Hold it, Claremont, Nolan. Allow me to introduce Magda Polaris.
You fool.
This is unbelievable.
Magda and Charles Poincaré are one and the same, Mr. Claremont. She assumed masculine disguise to blackmail her own sex and used her own devastating personality and appearance to hypnotize the masculine. Quite a girl, I should say.
Don't believe him. He was trying to talk me into getting more money from you, Claremont.
That I believe. Like I said when Claremont told me you were helping him, Lyme, he was jumping from the frying pan into the fire. Looks like we got here just in time.
As always, Detective Nolan, you have performed magnificently.
What are you trying to give me, Lyme?
Nothing but praise, you flatfoot. But to Mr. Claremont, I give $5,000, the blackmail fee for which I did not have to pay.
I can't find words to thank you, Mr. Lyme.
Now, just wait a minute, Mr. Claremont. This guy's trying to weasel out of a fast deal. I believe what this Magda dame says. He was in on the deal with her, and he's hungry for more.
Mr. Nolan, I asked the authorities to watch my daughter's activities, yet she fell into the worst kind of trouble. Mr. Lime was the one who saved her.
But don't you see his angle? He was trying to...
I came here with you to prove to you his innocence, but that wasn't necessary. Mr. Lime has pleaded his own case and won.
What?
No, he's guilty. I tell you, as guilty as I am.
Take this woman away, officer. I'll be down later to prefer charges.
Oh, whatever you say, Mr. Claremont. Come on, you.
I'll get even with you, Harry Lime, if it takes 100 years.
I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Lime. Now I'm doubly in your debt. Won't you accept a more substantial expression of my gratitude? This $5,000, for instance.
$5,000 with pleasure, Mr. Claremont. With pleasure.
Another payoff. What's the game now, Lime? What are you taking that money for?
Charity, old man, charity.
Charity? That's a new one.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it is. Entirely new. I'm surprising myself, old man, but then I'm a surprising kind of guy. I swore a solemn oath years ago never to do anything fundamentally decent if I could possibly avoid it. And look what I'm up to now.
Taking money again. That's what you're up to, exploiting these people.
Nolan, there's a reward out for Magda, isn't there? A reward. Well, don't try to chisel in. The reward goes to me.
Now, just a minute.
I don't want to be greedy, old man, but I've got my expenses to cover.
But you got $5,000.
Oh, but that isn't for me, Nolan, old man. No, believe it or not, this $5,000 is going to the convent of the Little Sisters of Charity.
It's going to
Right. That ought to help them offer sanctuary to someone else's wandering daughters.
Well, now I've heard everything.
Tell you what, old man, I'll cut you in on the reward.
Now, look, you're off your rocker. Now I know it. Lime giving dough to a convent?
And splitting the reward with you, Nolan. The reward, a small percentage. If you promise never to tell.
About the split?
About the convent. After all, old man, I've got my reputation to think of.
Harry Lime returns in just a moment. And now, Harry Lime.
So now, friends, you know all. Harry Lime, who started his career by putting his hand in the poor box, slipped so far that he even gave some money to a convent. Believe me, I was so depressed after doing it, I got right out of town, took a tramp steamer that night. Funny thing, the name of the ship was the SS Polaris. Yeah. She had been a beautiful craft. Well, heaven help the poor working girl. And so does Harry Lime.
Oh my, from 72 years ago, February 1st, 1952, The Lives of Harry Lime here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. An episode of the syndicated Mr. District Attorney Show is up next, and the case of the man with gold teeth.
Now, attention, please, all passenger car owners. The Office of Defense Transportation has asked us to give you this message. This is National Tire Registration Week. To keep our American transportation system safe and working, the government is asking you and me to register all tires of passenger cars during the coming week. This means you register all tires of your passenger car, including the spare and any others you may have, without delay. For to get a new gasoline rationing book, or to keep the one you already have, you must register your tires first. You can get an official registration blank at your local rationing board, your garage, auto club, or at any filling station. Then when you've listed all your tires, file your registration form with your rationing board. Or if you live in the West or Middle West, present it when applying for your gas rationing coupon. Remember, the government ruling is you must register your tires or you cannot get any gas. So act tomorrow to register yours.
Now on Classic Radio Theater, it's amazing the stuff that happened in World War II. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Thursday continues now with an episode of Mr. District Attorney. The Phillips H. Lord program moved into syndication for its final season, starring David Bryan. This from February 1st, 1953, 71 years ago today, is The Case of the Man with Gold Teeth.
Mr. District Attorney, starring David Bryan. Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And it shall be my duty as district attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens.
And now, here is our star, David Bryan, as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
A district attorney's dream is to find an eyewitness to the commission of a crime. But sometimes the dream can turn out to be a nightmare that helps the criminal instead of exposing him. This case started on a Friday morning, just a few minutes before 9 a.m.
All right, Carney, let's go over it once more.
We've been over it 20 times, Fallon. Let's get it done.
I ain't taking a chance on you making any mistakes.
I ain't making no mistakes. Think I want to go back to that pen again? Look, I've been casing this place ever since I got out.
You sure there's no guard?
Guard? In a check cashing joint? Nobody but the two tellers and the crummy alarm system.
If either of them moves for an alarm, start blasting.
All right. Hey, how are we going to hide out afterwards?
You leave that to me. I've been working on a railroad section gang, laying new tracks. It's 30 miles out of town, and they're short-handed. If I can get the gang boss to take you on.
Hey, that's good, Fallon.
Yeah. Nobody's going to expect to find two guys with 15 grand driving spikes on the railroad.
Hey, our car is pulling away now, Fallon.
Good. And the boys inside will have enough money to cash your check. Park right in front of the place and leave it running.
Right.
Keep me covered while I cash the check.
Yeah. Bet they never cashed a check like that one before.
Shut up. I'd like to cash this. Just read it, mister, and do like it says. Don't even open your mouth.
And don't stare at us. You heard him.
You got 5 seconds, mister. Put the money in the...
Hey, he stepped on the alarm.
That's the last thing you'll ever step on.
Let's get out of here!
We'll drop anybody who gets in the way. Come on, Carney, get in.
Crowd's gathering already.
They won't hurt us any.
Look out! Car's coming out of that side street.
Let him look out.
You're gonna hit!
Barney! I'm bleeding. Gotta get out, gotta get away.
Hey, driver, the coupe is alive. You better sit there until an ambulance comes, mister. Your head's cut mighty bad.
Get away from me.
Why, get back, everybody. He's got a gun. Get back. You won't run far.
Hello, Chief.
Hello, Harrington. Looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
Which one was the bandit car?
The coupe.
Who's in the sedan?
Man and a 5-year-old boy. Both killed.
They take the bodies to General Hospital?
Yeah. Oh, one of the stick-up men was killed, too.
Any trace of the other one?
No. I've got squads doing a house-to-house on the whole area, though.
Who's the registered owner of the coupe?
No, no, yet. It's being checked. Probably stolen.
Yeah, probably. Let's have a look at it. Blood on both seats. Steering wheel, too. The driver must have gotten a cut on his head or his hand.
He had a gash in his scalp.
Uh-huh. Hit the windshield on this side. A couple of hairs stuck to the jagged edge. Dark brown. Something for the lab to work on.
The corner druggist had a good look at him. Saw the whole thing from his store. Ran out to help. Almost got shot for his trouble.
Is he around?
Yeah, right over there. Oh, Mr. Reba. District Attorney wants to talk to you. All right, let him through, man. Let him through.
Well, too bad there weren't this many police around when this happened.
Well, it's a big city, Mr. Rebar. They do their best. Well, maybe you'd like to help.
I'm sorry, Mr. Garrett. Child that got killed used to stop in the store. Father'd give him a penny for bubble gum.
I understand how you feel. Harrington tells me you saw the driver of the coupe.
As close as I'm seeing you.
Oh, excuse me, Chief. That sounds like the shortwave on my car radio.
Go ahead. Can you give me a description of the man you saw, Mr. Rebor?
6 feet tall, maybe. Built solid, dressed like a laborer.
Go ahead.
Of course, that could fit 1,000 men, but this one had a couple of gold teeth right in the middle of his mouth.
Gold teeth, huh? Well, that's very interesting. Anything else?
Nothing outstanding, except for a bad cut on his head.
Over and out.
I told your assistant the whole thing.
Was the cut bad enough to need stitching?
Well, we'll have to see a doctor.
Well, that was a
right.
report on the coupe, Chief. It was stolen from the west side during the night or early this morning.
When was it reported? Before or after this happened?
Well, just about the same time, Chief, but the owner is home. He's been there since last night. His story checks out.
Well, we'd better get down to the General Hospital. Well, thanks, Mr. Reba. We may be calling upon you again for an identification.
You can get me at the store anytime.
We'll go in my car. We'll leave yours here. One of the men can drive it in.
Okay. The lab boys are on their way out to cart the wrecks in, go over them for fingerprints. Not that we can expect much. Prints on the car get pretty smeared.
Yes, and even if we do get a clear set, we've still got to find the man who can match them.
This body is the dead hold-up man. Lift the sheet if you want.
Any identification on him yet?
His prints have been taken. They might lead to something. The medical examiner's report has his blood type and other data.
I'd rather have the blood type of the man who got away. You instruct the lab to bring in pieces of the windshield where he cut himself?
Yeah. They'll call us on it.
Doctor say anything about the teller they shot during the holdup?
Yeah, he's still alive, but in a coma. He's up on the 3rd floor. You want to go up?
Might as well while we're waiting for the reports.
The doc doesn't think he's going to live.
Well, he may come around long enough to tell us something.
Look, Chief, before we go up, you want to see the man and the child who were in the sedan? They're right in the next room on their way to the elevator.
All right. Not that they can help us much.
That's the child's mother. Saw at the accident. Happened only a block from their home.
Did you come to see my boy and my husband? Did you know them?
No.
Maybe you ought to go home for a while, ma'am.
Why should I go home? There's nobody there now. He wanted his daddy to be the one to take him to school. He was just being registered. His first day. 5 years old.
You must try not to think about it.
Nothing we can do to help her, Chief.
I know. Better leave her until she cries herself out.
guy that's responsible for that ought to...
I know.
The elevators are over here. Car coming down now.
All right. Meet him in the first room there.
Here's the doc now. We're just coming up to see you, Doc.
I'm afraid you're too late, Harrington. Mr. Garrett.
Was that the cashier?
Yes, he just died. If you want to come back with me, your lab is bringing in some glass fragments for blood analysis.
Yes. You say anything before he died, Doctor?
Just a few words. The man who shot him had gold teeth. Sorry to keep you so long, Mr. Garrett, but it isn't as easy to get a type when the blood is dried.
We understand.
It'll only take a second to make a comparison under the microscope now. Did you kill that overhead light for me, Harrington?
No, sure thing, Doc.
I'll get the focus now. Yeah, that does it all right.
You got it?
Mm-hmm. The man you're looking for is an AB type.
That common?
No, pretty rare, as a matter of fact. About 1 in... Oh, excuse me. Hello, Dr. Swift speaking.
This is Mr. Garrett's office, Doctor. Is he there?
Yes, just a minute. For you, Mr. Garrett, your office.
Well, thanks. Yes, Miss Miller?
Mr. Garrett, some reports just came in from the lab, the fingerprint crew.
Now, what is it?
The dead bandit has been identified as John Carney, a known criminal. Served time in several states for armed robbery. No known associates since leaving the penitentiary 3 months ago.
No, that doesn't help us. What about the prints on the car? Anything?
All the clear prints belong to the owner of the car, with one exception.
What was that?
A full right thumb impression on the cap of the gas tank.
Has it been checked on?
Yes, sir. We had nothing in the criminal file, so we ran it through to Washington by wire photo. We just got the answer. An identification through Army records. A man named Robert Traumer.
Robert Traumer. Any location?
He owns the Midtown service station on Center Street. Do you want to pick up on him?
No. Harrington and I will handle it right away. Thanks.
Well, what is it, Chief?
Looks like we're not going to need that analysis after all, Doctor. Oh. I think we found our man.
Good. Where?
Runs a gas station. Come on, Harrington. Let's pick him up.
Be with you fellas in a second.
We'll wait.
Gotta get this grease off my hands. Just finished the lube job. We're not worried about your hands as long as we can see them. Hey, what's the idea? What are you frisking me for? Looking for a gun that made a hole in a fella.
Turn around so we can get a better look at you.
You mind if I dry my hands?
Go ahead.
Where were you this morning at 9 o'clock? I was right here working. Why?
You sure you weren't near the Apex check cashing service at 3rd and Grand on the south side?
Of course I wasn't.
Step over this way. Under the light.
Are you going to tell me what this is all about?
Let's see you smile.
What? You heard him. Smile. Just smile, mister, that's all.
So you were here at 9 o'clock, huh?
I told you.
Those gold teeth say you weren't.
What kind of a cashier you shot is dead, Traumer. So is a 5-year-old boy and his father, and your partner, John Carney. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Don't you? Maybe the cut on your head will make you remember.
Cut on my head?
The cut you got when the cars crashed. Take that grease cap off. Let's have a look at it.
Sure, mister. I'll let you look. Well, my cap's off. You see any cut? Either of you?
No. No, Trummer, we don't.
Cheaper. The druggist Reba said he had a deep gash. I don't know what you're looking for, mister, but if the guy has a gash in his scalp, just look again. 'Cause it ain't me.
This is David Bryan. Before we continue with Mr. District Attorney in the case of the man with gold teeth, here is an important message from our sponsor.
And now back to David Bryan, starring as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
3 innocent people had been killed in a hold-up attempt and getaway. One of the bandits was dead, but the other was still at large. Eyewitnesses swore that the man we sought had gold teeth and a gash on his scalp. We found a man with gold teeth, but there was no mark of an accident on him. Harrington and I took him to the doctor's office at General Hospital.
What's he going to do with that needle?
Just take your blood type, unless you object. That's your legal right.
Why should I object? I haven't done anything.
All right, let me have your hand. Just going to prick your finger a little.
Go ahead. Ouch!
How long will it take, Doctor?
Just a few seconds with a fresh specimen. Give you an answer as soon as the smear's ready.
The blood type we're checking you for is a pretty rare one, Farmer. AB.
I told you before, my blood is type O. I know from giving it to the Red Cross.
And if that's true, it eliminates part of your worries. But my assistant is bringing a druggist named Rebar over here. Rebar saw the killer close up.
He didn't see me.
Got it?
Yes, Doctor.
And there it is.
Type AB?
No. Typo, like you said.
I told you, didn't I? I never lie.
Come in.
Oh, Chief, I got Rebar out here.
How about it, Farmer?
Bring him in. I've got nothing to hide.
Okay, Harrington.
All right, come on in, Mr. Rebar.
Hello, Mr. Garrett.
Mr. Rebar, I'd like you to take a look at this man. Take a good look. And then tell me if you've ever seen him before. How about it, Mr. Rebar?
Mr. Garrett, I'm not sure. After all, the man that got out of the car had a gun in his hand and blood all over his face. All I remember for sure is the gold teeth.
I don't want you to identify him unless you're certain, beyond the shadow of a doubt. Now, can you make a positive identification?
No, sir, I can't.
All right, Mr. Reno. Thank you. You can go.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. You've done the right thing.
Well, my blood's the wrong type. I got no cut, and he couldn't identify me. How about letting me go now?
There's still the matter of a fingerprint that is yours, Trummer. I want you to come one more place with us. Voluntarily.
Where?
Police garage. The wrecks have been towed in there. I want you to see them. Will you come?
You're not trying to pin this on me, are you?
What do you think?
I'm with you. Let's go.
Recognize this car, Trummer?
Well, I see a dozen black coupes like this every day. You've seen this one, all right. Your thumbprint proves that. What? Right here in the dusting powder on the tank cap. So I gassed this car at my station, maybe. That's how I make... Hey, wait a minute. Let me see that cap. Don't touch it now. I'll handle it.
Well, Trummer?
I sold a tank cap like that this morning.
You sure?
Well, yeah, a big guy in a black coupe. Could have been this car. Maybe I should have known there was something fishy about that guy, though.
Why?
Because he didn't have any money to pay for the gas. Didn't tell me until I filled her up, either. She was almost bone dry. You mean you let him waltz off without paying you? Well, what could I do? Siphon it out? I made him leave something for security, though.
What?
Well, a hunting knife and sheath he had on his belt. Worth maybe $8 or $9 new.
Did he come back to redeem it?
No. I got it locked in my tool chest back at the station. We ought to have a look at it, Chief.
We will, as soon as I call the office.
District Attorney's office?
Garrett, Miss Miller. Anything come in on that scalp wound yet?
No, sir. We're still checking doctors. The whole telephone and radio division's on it.
That cut was deep. It'll need treatment sooner or later. Ask other counties to cooperate. Spread the search.
Yes, sir.
I'll be at Trummer's, the Midtown service station.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Would you know that man if you saw him again, Trummer?
Well, one customer's face looks like another, but I'd remember him. He have gold teeth like you? Oh, that's something I can't tell you. He was chewing a cut of tobacco, talking through it.
Tobacco, huh? Not many men chew tobacco anymore. Unless...
Unless what, Chief?
Well, Unless they're doing a kind of work that keeps their hands too busy for smoking.
Well, here it is, the knife. Just like he left it. Fresh honed and clean as a whistle, Chief. Now, why would anybody be carrying a hunting knife in the city?
More likely to be somebody who worked outdoors, away from town. Let me see that sheath.
Yeah.
Now look at this.
Hey, initials burned in the leather. B.F.
Too bad he didn't burn in the full name.
Midtown service. Oh, yeah, hold on. It's for you, Mr. Garrett. Your office.
Hello, Miss Miller.
Oh, Mr. Garrett, we just got a report. It doesn't seem to be anything, but I thought I'd better call you.
Well, what is it?
A man answering the general description of the one you're looking for had 12 stitches taken in his scalp plate this afternoon.
Where?
Colderville, about 30 miles upstate.
Did you speak to the doctor?
Yes, sir. Colderville Hospital emergency room, but he said it was a compensation case.
What kind of a compensation case?
He said the patient was a workman for the railroad section gang repairing track up in that area.
Well, how'd he get hurt?
Driving spikes. He said one flew up and hit him.
But the man answers our general description.
Yes, sir, except for one thing.
What?
The doctor said he didn't have gold teeth.
I see. Well,
I thought I'd better call you anyhow.
thanks. Keep working on it.
I will. Bye.
Goodbye. Oh, Miss Miller.
Yes?
Did the doctor give you the man's name?
Yes, sir. It was Fallon. Bud Fallon.
Just a minute. Give me that knife sheath, Harrington.
Here you are.
Thanks. Miss Miller, you did say Bud Fallon, didn't you? B as in boy, F as in flag.
That's right, Mr. Garrett.
Then I think we've got our man.
But his teeth aren't gold.
I've got an idea about that, too. Listen, here's what I want you to do. Harrington and I are leaving for Coderville immediately. I want you to call that doctor back.
Yes, sir?
Tell him to dig out the swabs he used in treating that wound on Fallon's scalp. If he can find the right ones, I want a blood analysis made. We'll pick it up when we get there.
Yes, sir. Right away.
Goodbye. Thanks, Tomer. Come on, Harrington.
Is the guy we want in Colderville, Chief?
In it or near it. He's working on a railroad section gang.
That fits what you said about the knife. Guy working outdoors.
Chewing tobacco, too. Man with a sledgehammer in his hands doesn't have much time for smoking.
But what about the gold teeth?
He hasn't got gold teeth. Never did have. It was a disguise he dreamed up when he stopped at Trummer's for gas. Trummer's teeth caught his attention and gave him an idea. Mighty good one, too. It almost saved his neck.
But how? How did he do it?
That's the one thing we've got to find out.
It'll be dark when we get to Colderville.
Not as dark as Fallon would like it to be.
They're the railroad work cars now.
Oh.
Section boss said Fallon bunks in the next to the last one. It's dark.
The caboose isn't. Probably use it for a recreation car. Card games, things like that.
Anyone try there first?
No. Too many men in there. Somebody might get hurt. We'll wait in his bunk car.
Yeah, it should be this one.
Yeah.
Watch out. Big step up.
Yeah, I see it. Got your flashlight?
Yep.
Let's have a look around.
Yeah. Sleeps about a dozen. I wonder which bunk is Fallon's.
I don't know. Here. Throw the light over here.
What?
Here on the bunk post.
B.F. Likes to put his initials on everything, don't he?
Now, this must be his footlocker.
Yeah, it ain't locked.
No.
Gun in there?
No, he'll have it on him. Look at this, though.
What are they?
A couple of plugs of chewing tobacco.
Wrapped in gold foil.
Sure. He tore off a piece of this gold foil after he saw trauma. Put it over his front teeth like this.
No wonder we got a description the way we did.
One thing he couldn't change was the AB type of blood, though.
Well, what do we do now?
Just sit and wait.
That's enough for me tonight. Deal me out.
I don't know what I ever did to deserve such lousy luck. Who's that back of my bunk? That you, Jake? Dominic?
Don't go, Fallon.
Who is it? Who are you expecting?
We want to talk to you about a check you tried to cash this morning.
You're under arrest, Fallon. Look out, Chief!
Oh, my arm! Get the gun, Chief.
I've got it.
Is this the same gun you used to kill the cashier, Fallon?
I never killed anybody. Ballistics will tell us if you don't, mister. You'll never get anybody to identify me.
We will when they see you with a piece of this gold foil over your teeth.
I don't have to say anything till I see a lawyer. My arm. I'm bleeding. You gotta get me to a doctor, quick. I already lost a lot of blood from my head.
Don't worry about it, Fallon. You'll be getting a transfusion in no time. It won't take long. We already know your blood type. Come on, Harrington. Let's carry him out.
Now, here is the star of Mr. District Attorney, David Bryan, with a word about the program you have just heard.
Bud Fallon was convicted of murder in the second degree and 3 counts of involuntary manslaughter. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. However, he was killed in a fight when he attacked another prisoner with a knife. Now, this is David Bryan inviting you to join us when we present our next case based on the facts of crime from the file of Mr. District Attorney.
Mr. District Attorney was originated by Phillips H. Lord.
And there you have it. From 71 years ago, February 1st, 1953, Mr. District Attorney, here on this Thursday, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Tomorrow, kind of a mixed bag. We'll have Plan X, an episode of Suspense starring Jack Benny, Your Rocky Fortune starring Frank Sinatra, Johnny Dollar starring our good friend Bob Bailey, and the Not Price of Fame matter. We'll have an episode of Quiet Please, and an episode of the game show Says Who, and that stars a gentleman you might have heard of, Henry Morgan, and then we'll have an episode from 1942 of Lum and Abner. That's on our Friday edition of the program. Right now, though, we're going to wrap up the show with an episode of The Adventures of Jungle Jim.
Submarine making for convoy off the port bow, sir. Northeast 3 degrees by east.
Stand by for action. Full speed ahead.
Aye, aye, sir. There she is, sir. Dead ahead through the fog.
Red tip, sir. She's sinking. She's going down. That's one Nazi U-boat Uncle Sam can stop worrying about. Turn back to convoy.
Yes, one sub down, but unfortunately there's plenty more where that one came from. Every day the battle goes on, a battle for command of the seas. And part of that battle comes right into your home. The sugar bowl on your table, and if you live along the eastern seaboard, the gas tank on your car. Both play an important part in America's fight. Sugar ships from Cuba, oil tankers on our east coast. These have been favorite Nazi targets. Help save ships. Help save American lives by conserving sugar and gasoline. Don't use the limit of your ration unless you really need it.
Help your country win the battle of war transportation.
And now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we go back to a serial we have talked about previously, The Adventures of Jungle Jim, meant to promote the Sunday newspapers in the area. From 88 years, and this was syndicated nationwide, February 1st, 1936. This is the story of the Batwoman.
Presenting the adventures of Jungle Jim. Last week, Lynn Chalmers, impatient at being forced to wait for word from Jungle Jim as to the fate of her father, tried to bribe her guardian, Kolu, to leave their hideout and look for Jim. But Kolu refused to disobey Jim's orders. Meanwhile, Jim allowed himself to be captured by Mamba and taken to the Batwoman. Despite his plea that she release the Reverend Chalmers and hold him instead, Shanghai Lil decided to keep both men prisoners, and Jim was turned over to Labat, who whipped Jim into unconsciousness and then threw him into the dungeon where the Reverend Chalmers was recovering from exposure to the sun. The thrilling adventures of Jungle Jim are pictured each Sunday in the Comic Weekly, the world's greatest pictorial supplement of humor and adventure. The Comic Weekly, each page printed in full colors, is distributed everywhere as an integral part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. And now we continue our story. Down in the cavern dungeon where they were being held prisoners, the Reverend Chalmers pulls Jungle Jim into as comfortable a position as possible and waits for him to regain his strength. Presently, Jim raises himself up.
Feeling better now, Jim?
Yes, thanks. I'll be all right now. But wait until I get a fair chance with that French Canuck.
Jim, I've been waiting for you to recover sufficiently to tell me the details of Lynn's death.
Lynn's death?
Yes.
Well, the last time I saw her, your daughter was safe and sound, Dr. Chalmers.
Oh, praise God. You don't know what a load you lifted from my mind and heart, Jim. I was sure I'd left her fatally wounded that night I was kidnapped.
I know how you must have felt, Reverend. We felt the same way about you. And Lynn, of course, still does. I hope we can get to her soon and give her the good news of your safety.
I hope so, too. Where is she?
Kolu has her in a secluded spot not far from here. He will watch over her until he sees my signal that all is well. You see, Dr. Chalmers, I felt that to let this woman capture all of us would definitely ruin our chances not only to rescue you, but also to investigate this religious mystery.
Quite right, Jim, quite right.
I got the idea that if I were the only one seen advancing on this place, the Batwoman would think her men had killed Lynn and my boy Kolu.
Which she probably does, for she told me you were alone when they captured you.
She knows Lynn's alive, Reverend.
She does? Ah, I see it now. She wants to torture me with the thought that I'd really and truly lost my daughter if she wasn't with you.
That sounds just like her.
But I say, Jim, how does she know Lynn is alive?
Oh, I tried to bargain with her and happened to mention Lynn.
Bargain with her? How?
Well, you see, this Batwoman is the same one I had a run-in with in Patrick O'Shaughnessy Flynn's cafe.
I see.
The day I beat up Labat for attacking that kid.
I remember.
So I kind of figured it. She wanted me bad enough, she'd release you to return to Lynn.
You offered yourself as a hostage for me?
You make it sound melodramatic, Reverend. I just try to make a trade.
Jim, I don't know what to say. That was a splendid offer. But even if it had been successful, I couldn't have let you go through with it.
Say, your place is with your daughter, no matter how we arrange it.
Much as I value the companionship and safety of Lynn, I couldn't let you or anyone else sacrifice himself to that end.
Well, let's forget that, shall we? It didn't work, so now we got to figure out something else.
Yes.
What have you found out since you've been here, Reverend?
Nothing much. They stripped me to the waist and spread-eagled me in the sun.
That devils.
It was torture. My body is still so sore I can't even put on my shirt. But heaven won't let such deeds go unheeded or unpunished.
And that reminds me, Reverend. I've got something of yours here.
Something of mine? What is it, Jim?
Your pocket-sized Old Testament.
Oh!
Kolu found it back on the trail, where the bush was all trampled down.
Yes, that's where I fought Mamba for the possession of the gun. But I thought I'd lost this book for good. But here it is. Oh, thank you, Jim.
Well, that's all right, sir.
I should have known that it would turn up again. You know, Jim, this book has had a hard time down through the centuries. It's been hounded, scourged, thrown into prison, crucified, and crowned with thorns. But it has a miraculous way of surviving.
Yes, sir. And if we live long enough, it will conquer the new voodoo cult that's been started up here.
Amen to that, my boy. But for the present, I guess there's nothing we can do but make the best of our predicament. What is the Batwoman up to, Jim?
I think I know, Reverend.
You do?
But I'd rather not say until I'm sure.
While Jim and the Reverend Chalmers wonder what the Batwoman is up to, let's see for ourselves.
Bob!
What you want, boss?
Come here. Mamba, is your canoe ready?
Yes, sir, missy. Wagga ready.
Here I am, boss. What you want?
Have you seen any sign of the girl?
No, boss. That girl, she no show up yet.
She must be around here somewhere. Ruani told me he saw Jungle Jim and the girl and a native boy at the outpost.
Maybe that Ruani lie, boss.
No, he isn't lying. Jungle Jim told me himself the girl is still alive.
Then why not make him tell us where she is, boss?
Not just yet, Lubba. I don't want to give him a Chalmers the satisfaction of knowing I'm interested in her.
Ah, you one smart fella, boss.
When I told Jungle Jim there was a friend here who was anxious to see him, I meant you. But he thought I meant her. His face went white as a sheet.
He loved that girl, n'est-ce pas?
He says she doesn't mean a thing to him.
He say, by God, when man in love with woman, he always say she don't mean nothing to him.
Is that so? Well, I'll remember that. It may come in handy.
May come handy. I bet you your life, you see that it come handy.
Well, never mind about that, Labar. The point is, we've got to find Lynn Chalmers.
Mais oui, boss. Jacques Laban know that. I try my best for find her.
Now, I want you to send the boys out to beat the bush and drive them out of their cover. We know they're this side of the outpost someplace.
Oui, boss.
They must be waiting to make a surprise attack on us, or to get some kind of signal from Jungle Jim. I want to capture them without him knowing it.
By God, you just leave everything to Jacques Laban.
Now, look here. I'll let you get your revenge. But don't forget, Jungle Jim is my prisoner, not yours.
I know, boss. You let me whip him. Merci bien. I wait long time for that. And then he go faint. Yeah, he call himself one big, strong man.
You think he may be in love with Lynn Chalmers, you say?
Oui, boss. She the only white girl around here.
Well, what does that make me?
Oh, you, boss. You woman. The daughter of the missionary. She only a girl.
Oh, I see. And this adventurer could only be interested in a girl, is that it?
No, boss. You no understand. You know your way round, like us fella. You hard, strong like fella. You dress like us fella. This girl, she dress like girl. Act like girl. She one clinging fine boss.
I see. Well, maybe you're right, Lubba.
Sure, all right, boss. You find out when we catch that girl.
Manda here is going to the next island to ask them to search for the girl, too. Help him get his canoe launched. Then come back here to the house.
Okay, boss. Come on, Manda. We get the canoe into the water. Here she is. All right, Mamba. Take that end. I take this end. We push into the water.
Wait. Mamba say good while you go.
Oh, first you make mumbo jumbo, eh?
Yes. Balo Mav, my ancestor. Come sit on Waga. Make Waga go fast. Kala bosi siula kala bom walela. Pa papa silibida. Monagakadava. Kuselasi onikota. Bukyova. Kumwam dabam siai gana. Bukuyova. Fly, Waga. Fly. Now, Mamba ready.
Okay, take that end, like I told you. Now, push!
Goodbye, Twanabat.
Bon voyage, Mamba. Au revoir. Hey, better you come back with that girl, you black rascal.
Don't do, Twanabat.
Come in.
Lava got that Mamba off all right, boss.
All right. And now I want
Boss! Oh, by God.
Why, what's the matter?
Where you get this dress?
This dress? Oh. Well, a woman doesn't have to wear riding breeches all the time, does she?
By God, I think you one beautiful fellow in those breeches, boss. Saint Jean-Baptiste. You something magnifique in those dress.
Like it, Lava?
Boss, when you wear that, I no can call you boss. I must call you Lily.
It makes that much difference, does it?
Oui.
All right, Lubba. When I wear an outfit like this, you can call me Lily.
Merci bien, Lily.
And now I want you to bring Jungle Jim here to me.
Sacre bleu, Lil. Or why?
Never you mind about that. Just bring him here to me and leave us alone.
He one dangerous man for to be left alone with you.
You heard what I said.
Okay. It is your funeral.
Well, don't you worry about that. Just bring Jungle Jim here and leave us alone.
Meanwhile, Kolo keeps guard over Lynn Chalmers in their hiding place.
Kolo, there's been no signal from Tuan Jim yet.
No, Missy.
Something must have happened to him.
Missy no should worry. No good worry. Tuan Jim make signal when he want Kolu come quick.
How can you be so calm? Something's happened to him, I tell you. He must be sick, or perhaps dead.
Tuan Jim no fool. Him know how take care self. Him wait for chance, make signal. You see.
I know, Kolo, but can't you understand? If something's happened to him, he won't be able to make the signal. Let's go and find out what's delaying him.
Better we stay here, Missy.
Is that all you can say? Better we stay here, Missy. You've said nothing else for hours.
Tuan Jim tell Kolu stay here. God, Missy. Kolu do like Tuan Jim tell.
Yes, I know. But Tuan Jim didn't figure on anything happening to him, Kolo. He gave those orders as though everything would come out as he planned.
Yes, Missy.
If everything had gone right, we should have seen his signal before this.
Maybe.
There's no maybe about it.
Maybe Tuan Jim have hard time find that woman. Maybe lose way. Take longer time. Foolish to follow. Missy and Kolu leave here. No could see signal. Kolu wait here. Missy wait here.
I'll go mad with waiting. Isn't there something I can do to keep from worrying so?
Kolu cut down brush to watch for enemy better. Missy want help?
Yes, I'll be glad to help. What do you want me to do?
Take knife. Cut down brush. So.
All right.
You work here. Kolu work over here.
Oh, Kolo, help! Kolo, help! Help!
At that moment, back at the plantation house, Jungle Jim faces Shanghai Lil.
You wanted to see me?
Yes. Sit down.
I prefer to stand.
Just as you like.
Well, what do you want of me?
Is that handsome back of yours healed yet?
Is that why you sent for me? To inquire after my back?
Partly.
My back's better, if it's of so much interest to you. What else do you want to know?
Oh, there's nothing I want to know. I brought you here to tell you something.
All right. That sounds more reasonable. Well, what have you to tell me?
Is there any hurry? There's plenty of time around here.
Well, if there is, I want to spend it with my friend, Dr. Chalmers. Not with you, whoever you are.
You don't mind speaking right out, do you?
No. I never was much for palaver. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean.
So it seems. Sit down.
I said I prefer to stand. Well, I'm waiting to hear what you have to tell me.
Very well. I'll tell you. You know by this time that I'm a dangerous woman. My word is law in this part of the country.
Well?
What I want, I take.
You didn't bring me here to tell me that. Let's get to the point.
All right. Jungle Jim, I want you to marry me.
Well, the Batwoman, with Jungle Jim and the Reverend Chalmers in her power as helpless prisoners, should be able to enforce her demand. What misfortune has overtaken Lynn and Kolo? These exciting adventures of Jungle Jim are an exclusive feature of the Comic Weekly, the magazine of mystery, romance, thrills, and humor. The Comic Weekly is distributed everywhere with your Hearst Sunday newspaper. In it you will find many of the most famous characters of the picture world, including the Katzenjammer Kids, Toots and Casper, the Little King, Barney Google, and Flash Gordon. Also some new color poster stamps to add to your present collection. Don't forget our date at the same time next week for a continuation of the thrilling adventures of Jungle Jim.
perfectly modern woman, wouldn't you say? From 88 years ago, February 1st, 1936, The Batwoman and the Adventures of Jungle Jim. Thank you for spending your Thursday with us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We will see you tomorrow for a mixed bag, including a game show, a detective drama, science fiction, and more. Tomorrow here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, and we will see you tomorrow.